whatever.
That would have been mean anyway.
Not thinking.
Oh, yeah. What else is new
we're
for
not
me?
mean guys.
Let us know when, Danny Palm. Oh, yeah, look at that. Live chat is live.
The show before the show is official.
Live chat is live.
Welcome to the show before the show. The 247 Combat Sports Podcast is back in studio with the good mics. We're no longer back in the Zoom world. I like this look. Ryan, how do you feel about this current podcast studio set? Look at this.
I'm
I'm
Ryan.
not impressed by your performance.
Look at it online. It looks cool. Honestly, I'm not even just saying that.
It's like the Hunter high ice cream laziness.
Is it?
Does this studio look lazy? Everybody watching, tell me if this studio looks lazy.
Let's pan the camera.
No. All that matters is what's on camera.
Okay,
That's
and
what
it's
people
only
see.
one camera shot.
It looks
and
good.
Dude.
There's three of us on it. There's three of us on. I love this angle. We're gonna keep it.
This is awful.
We're definitely going to keep it. So thanks for joining the show before the show. It is almost 3 p.m. though, so we're going to get going with the real goods. Obviously, you guys have seen that we're going to be talking about Brawl in the Burgh 18 and Sprawl in the Burgh 2. Last weekend, we had 2 stacked fight cards.
Jared Billy, come on. Do not encourage.
Thank you, Jared.
Jared Billy, I'm very disappointed in you.
I love Jared so much. He's the best.
He said on 247 Live, he said, I have to stand up for Hunter and say it looks amazing.
It does look amazing.
It's just,
it
come on.
objectively looks
Can we
amazing.
please pan?
No.
In one shot? We have cameras out the wazoo to have different angles.
Bro.
We have all this equipment so we can change camera angles and all. And you are, yeah, okay.
It looks great. Did you ever see a professional TV studio? It's all about it's like illusion. Like when you see the desk and see how it looks on TV, but then you see the whole studio, you're like, how does that end up looking like that? All that matters is what makes it here, baby. And this looks beautiful. Look at us.
Don't call me baby.
I will.
No.
I'll do it again.
Sweetie pie.
The first one.
Okay, so I want.
guess it's 3.
Wow, since it's 3 o'clock, it's time for Hunter to say really awesome things about one of our sponsors.
Which sponsor should get the first shout out? I guess it has to go to our platinum crew,
Sunny Days
In-Home Care, which if you guys watch the live streams, you see a lot of Sunny Days commercials. I love their commercials. Definitely exemplifies who they are, really captures the spirit of that place, which is huge. I mean, when you're talking about in-home care, you're talking about a very intimate workplace. Like you cannot have buttholes running that place.
That's an interesting term.
Well, I'm trying to curse less, Ryan, for your sake. So, that turned into buttholes. But we talk to CEO John Bennett during intermission at our shows, at all Brawl in the Burgh shows. And if you guys have ever seen that, I think you get a really good feel for how they are, how much they care about their clients and the people that they serve. That place is literally built on caring, and that's exactly what you would want an in-home care service to be built on. They are awesome. They're genuinely just awesome people who care about what they do. They're very passionate. We're very passionate about what we do in our realm. They're very passionate in the same way in their realm, and it really, really shows in their work. So Sunny Days In Home Care, they are incredible. .com, sunnydaysinhomecare.com.
Great
and check
people.
them out on social. They got socials as well all over the place.
They're such great people. I would even consider them hello people.
Nice. There's only actually,
I
Danny,
like
can you give us one? It's been a while, man.
Hello, people.
Woo!
There we go. Now we're running, baby. Let's go. Yeah, so Sunny Days In-Home Care, shout out to our platinum sponsor. Love you guys. Love all you do. Thank you. The fighters also very much appreciate it. And let's jump right into something just kind of random and fun. But I want to hear you guys' match of the night at Sprawl in the Burgh 2. What was your match of the night? I'm talking purely entertainment value. What was your favorite match of the night?
On Sprawl?
Yes, on Sprawl.
The actual match?
It could be anything. You can twist this however you want.
I mean, there was a tension, and there was a what's going to happen atmosphere during the Siebert and Teasdale, whatever their competition. And I think that made it like, I mean, watching it back, I don't think it was like this action-packed thing. It just wasn't, right? They were both, they both knew the other one was dangerous, and they were, doing. There were some exciting things that happened during the fight, but the anxiety, I thought it was, and that the fact that they kept slapping each other in the forehead and like,
Kind of fun.
Yeah.
it was that was
yeah, for sure.
There was something different about that one.
Yeah, totally agree.
Jess Elizabeth's commenting away, just hello. Let's talk about buttholes. Unreal. Oh, that was me. Who? That wasn't me though.
I don't. Who could it have been, Ryan?
That was you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it
So
wasn't-
just so you know,
Wasn't me yet.
anyone who's on there, I guess it's gonna say me, right?
I
And
should
that-
type Hunter and Jim deserve raises so we have it on paper that Ryan Middleton said that. What do you think, Jim?
That's not paper.
I think it's
Good
in
idea.
there.
Well, it counts. I think that holds up in court.
Yeah.
Jim, what's your sprawl match of the night?
Well, that was what Ryan said.
You would go with the
I
same
don't
one?
know. I wouldn't piggyback off it, but for me, I'd love to see that one as a pure wrestling match.
Yeah,
And see those two go head to head.
no doubt.
It just like from start to finish was for me it was the match of the night. But I was looking at that one anyways. That's one that I thought.
Yeah.
For
But-
sure.
Yeah, and just to add one more thing, I did not go back and watch the complete match between them two. I watched segments of it, but not from start to finish. That if there's any way that I'd love to do something like sending it out to the masses and get some opinions and see what people think, because it was a tough one to call. I know there was, some circumstances surrounding that, but if we take all of like the backdrop away and we just look at that match for what it is
Yeah.
and see what people come up with, I think it would be split down the middle. It's that close. And if you don't like the decision, this isn't a knock on.
I also think we have to everyone that is involved is heavily like, we would need some independent people to take a look at the bout, not think about the circumstances, and give an accurate assessment. I agree.
Roby in the comments said respectfully that was a wrestling match, not a grappling match. So maybe we already saw the wrestling match, Jim.
Yeah, I can't. There was probably a lot more, especially with the head slaps, and the shots, taking shots from far out like Siebert did. But yeah,
For sure.
if there's any way we could run that back, so if you guys are listening, come talk to us and maybe we could do something for you.
Wouldn't be mad about it. Wouldn't
Yeah.
be mad about it. Ferdoz wants a fight in December, Jim, by the way. He
I'm
just
working on
commented.
it, Bobby.
Let's do it. Bobby Murda action back in
Yeah.
the 2-4 in the bigger, newer 247 cage. Bobby Murda.
Yeah. As a reminder to everyone, the bigger, newer 247 cage will be used for the first time in Pittsburgh on December 15th and 16th for the events we're having. Which there's a little hint there that there could be something different in the works.
Something afoot.
And so we have events December 15th and 16th, and they're at the Monroeville Convention Center. So exciting. But yeah, we're always thinking of different stuff and trying to figure it all out.
You know us silly geese.
You silly gopher.
Had to get my Buck Mooney flannel on. Now I feel ready to talk to the people. Let's go.
All right, wait, but how about Sprawl in the Burgh, Chase Boyd versus Jeremy Decken?
Yeah, I think that would be my pick, honestly. I'm between that one and Sean Kyle versus Dan Stupinski Sage. Those were the two for me that were the most competitive, even action pack like that. Those were really good examples of how fun a pure grappling super fight could be. So I loved both of those matchups. A lot of people I heard some people saying they thought Sean won against Sage, but to Sean's credit, I want to put it out in public. Sean told me, I didn't think I won that one. So he wasn't surprised, but I did hear some people saying that.
There are lots of people that said that, and I think so. Here's what we're running into, and I think this is gonna happen. And I think there's some things we can do to lessen this. But what's happening is, people that are wrestling backgrounds are looking at them as more of a wrestling match, and people with jiu-jitsu backgrounds are looking at it more of a jiu-jitsu, and
Facts.
it's a combination of both. Like,
Facts.
and so I think we have to, one of the things we've talked about, like we talked about behind the scenes, is making more clearly defined, what are we telling the referees to look for? What are we, how are we telling them to weigh the things they're looking for, and making sure we communicate that clearly to the participants. And we're learning, like we've had 2 grappling competitions, or events, and we're going to have a bunch more, and we're going to have to tweak here and there, especially at the beginning. So guys, we're open to suggestions, but just know that we want to get this thing right. We want to get this thing to be the best rule set there is, and the most happiness. Now, I will also say this. There are discussions about making the rule set to where, if it's far from clear who won, having some type of sudden death, having a tie, like all of that is on the table. We want to hear what you guys think. We want it to be the way the people want it. And so we're more than willing to try different things and to tweak as we need to.
For sure. I think telling the referees that a draw is okay could be a solution, but that leaves a lot of people unsatisfied, the athletes especially, I think. So I don't necessarily love that idea. I don't love...
Will be used.
I was like, bro, best ventriloquist ever. I can't even see his mouth moving at all. I think that EBI rules have some merit, the EBI overtime, but you guys will have to, the athletes have to let me know how you feel about that. I personally don't love it as a spectator, because then you get a clear winner, but like you won because you escaped an armbar faster than me. I don't like that. Does that make you a better grappler than me overall? I don't know, because the win looks definitive on paper, but really you just escaped a little faster than me. Does that really mean you're better than me? I don't know. I would have a hard time
I don't know that
with
that means you're better. I think that you won that time is different than you're better.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the 1960 Pirates better than the 1960 New York Yankees.
That's a great point. It didn't matter. Yeah. On that night, those nights, they got it done.
Roby said guys can coast to make it to overtime, not a fan. And that's part of it. Part of the reason why we initially said, like, it goes to the judge, that we want people trying to submit people. We give a $100 bonus if you submit your opponent. Like, we want that type of action. We want people trying to finish it.
Yeah. So Pat from the commission, Pat Johnson, thanks for showing up, bro. Bobby Murda both said EBI or ADCC rules. And then Jess Elizabeth and Sage both said EBI is trash. So we're already split. We're already split.
So when it comes to the reffing this, it's subjective. It really is.
That's it.
It comes down to interpretation. They like the ref inside the cage. He has a different, or she has a different viewpoint than we do sitting outside and watching this. So maybe what we see as aggression inside could appear to be stalling tactics. And then that's something that Danny and I were talking about earlier today, is how do you really determine if somebody's stalling? Because that's because one person's moving forward and the other person's going back doesn't mean the person in retreat, so to speak, is stalling.
Right.
What about a leg lock specialist who match starts, they immediately go down to their butt.
Yeah.
Now who's stalling at that point?
Yep. Yeah, it's deep, guys. I mean, obviously, let's be honest, we're not the only promotion that has controversy with decisions on grappling. Like, this is obviously an imperfect art in general across the board. Every promotion that promotes grappling deals with this at times. So we'll figure it out. And I think, you can look all the way up to the UFC. As I always say, every single time there's a UFC event, there's one decision on the card that people are like, oh my God, how could they do that? And these are the best judges, referees on earth.
Yeah.
So even then, we're talking about a very complex combat sport. Sometimes things aren't going to be perfect, but we want to get as close as possible, as often as possible. So that's what we're going back to the drawing board to figure out.
I absolutely love the feedback. We're getting lots of feedback in the comments. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. Daniel Stapinski said, honestly, as athletes, we didn't know what the criteria was. Ethan Goss said the same in the Facebook comments. I think like that was for Sprawl in the Burgh, like the original one. And we did post when we did put it for you guys what the criteria was. Now, was it super clear what would be weighted and what wouldn't? That's what we're literally trying to work on that. And yeah, this is new to us, and we want it to be perfect. We're going to need time to get there, and so the input you guys are giving is critical and helpful.
Yeah, it's super awesome. So I definitely appreciate it. Keep sounding off, guys. Carly Joe said she likes first point in overtime wins. Pretty interesting. I kind of like that. I like that. You see the comment that I'm laughing about. Savage Gentleman fight was the best. Very entertaining. So, all right, let's just get right into that. Let's get into that, because we just talked about, we said something else that made me think that it would be a good segue anyway, and I can't even remember what it was now. But
we're here now.
You were here now. We're going to talk about Savage Gentleman. Obviously. Oh, it was how we appreciate the feedback in the comments. I also appreciate the feedback. Shout out Logan Stout for keeping us honest, and I'm dead serious. Like, I appreciate that post, because these are the kind of things that we have to have. Like, accountability matters, and if there is a problem, somebody like Logan Stout, he's not invested in the game. He's a very intelligent guy. He's been around this his entire life. He's heavily involved with a giant gym in Pittsburgh. There are so many elements that make his feedback valuable to us, and a lot of times people will just say these things behind your back, and that's how like drama starts in regional MMA and for anybody. So I appreciate the fact that he didn't take that route and instead
tagged us,
brought it right out in light. Like, that's literally awesome. That is going to make us better. And I think you guys can just go back on the post. We're not really going to reiterate it here, but I replied. Logan and I went back and forth in a very respectful and productive way. And I think we all agree that that match at that event at that time was not the move. We took a risk with that we knew we were taking. And what it comes down to, guys, is that we wanted as many eyeballs on this event as possible. We've got, let's just call it, how many grapplers were on that card? 60? I don't know. Around 60. The vast majority of which were hyper-local people training at the local gyms you all know and love. And we wanted as many people to tune into that event because of that. We want people to know who Lucas Jones is, to know who Christian Schaefer is, to know who Jerry Rayburn is, and all their gym. We want that. We want to grow them. So if we can get a match on there that's going to bring eyeballs, that's awesome. That's what we want. And if it's entertaining, as the comment said, he loved that match. It's not everybody's cup of tea, to say the least. And if it makes you guys feel even better, I will let you know straight up, my dad was at home watching the live stream, and as it was happening, he said, "Never do that again, son." So if you think hearing it from you is bad, I also had to hear it from my dad, all right? So it's bad. We get it. We get it. Now, there are ways that we could have done this to make it better, for sure. One of those ways is by simply promoting a pro wrestling show and calling it that. That's
so just to be clear, there was a level of misunderstanding. Just to get that, like, it was very important to me and to us that the action in the cage was all real. There was a level of a clear misunderstanding. I'm not going to point fingers at anybody. All I will tell you is that what our intention was for the action in the cage to be 100% real.
Yeah.
Is that what happened? No. That's the to me, that's the primary issue. Is we were not trying in any way, shape, or form to mock grappling or to put any type of negative light or compare the two, because one is one thing and the other is another. So our intention was never for there to be a wrestling match, a pro wrestling match during Sprawl.
Right.
And so I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah. So that, I mean, we learned. That's as simply, as quickly as I can put it, is that we learned. I promise you, I guarantee you, I sent texts to a lot of coaches and athletes the very day after, letting them know, like, just so we're clear, this isn't the direction we're going in with Sprawl, that we get it. You guys are right. Like, a lot of you are upset, and you probably should be. We get it. It's not happening again. That's where we're at with that. Now, the one secondary part, moving on from Savage to the main event, I did see some pushback on the main event as well, and that one confuses me a little more, I'll be honest. Granted, Nicky Rod versus 3 guys is not the super ideal thing. Of course, Nicky Rod versus 1 guy one-on-one.
But to know how that came to be,
Right.
You would have to know
Right.
the circumstances. And so this is part of what we want to share with you so you can understand why we did it and that we didn't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
If we wanted to have someone the stature of Nicky Rod, like this is the price, this is how we had to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So if we run it all the way back to July, which I think even in the comments on Logan Stout's post, a lot of people were like, wow, Sprawl 1 was so good. This was a big step backwards. So we all agree Sprawl 1 was really cool. One thing that made Sprawl 1 really work for us was Dante Leon versus PJ Barch at the top. Having that world-class level talent in Pittsburgh, that's awesome. Like, we all agree. That's
I think we
great to
have
get them here.
world-class talent here in Pittsburgh. I just think that it's not as
World
recognized.
recognized.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
there we go.
Yep.
So the idea coming back into this one was, let's get another world recognized, world-class athlete in the main event. So I literally just slid into Nicky Rod's DMs and was like, hey man, we explained who we are, what we're looking for. What would it take? Like, what do you need to come to Pittsburgh? The number he gave for a super fight,
Without getting into it,
without saying
is
it,
more than double the amount of tickets we sold in tickets for the double what we sold for that whole show with him being there.
Yeah.
So it never would make sense. Oh, sorry, no problem. See you later, right?
yeah, there was zero affording a Nicky Rod super fight. So it was actually Nicky Rod's idea as well. He's like, well, if that doesn't work, what about this? And then he's like, 3 guys, 8 minutes apiece. And that's kind of how it came. We're like, sounds kind of fun, actually.
And that it was a fraction,
right. A fraction of a fraction. Yeah.
1/6 of what the original number was.
Cody Gamble said in the comments, just real quick, for punishment, you must do a Sunday morning practice at the factory. No, dude, no way. Oh God, that's actually really.
We've heard about.
It's a
those.
great punishment. Do I got to do the Stairmaster at the end? What's that thing called? Versa Climber at the end of practice?
Yeah. So we had somebody fill out our fighter form, and this was specifically for a Sprawl event. And in their experience, I think wrestling experience or something like that, they answered something like getting pummeled on the weekends by the Mat Factory or by Isaac's team, something like that.
It may have been Jess Elizabeth, I think, actually put that. Getting my ass beat by Isaac Greeley every Sunday or something like that. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
So when this idea came up, our thing is like, yeah, we're going to spend like more money than we really want to spend. And just so you know, going forward, like I think we got out of Dante and
PJ.
And I think we the effect is we want to get more shine on our event and the fighters here and the fact that we're having grappling events here.
Yeah.
I think we accomplished that. And I don't know that we need to do as much of that going forward because I think we listen, we want the shine to be on Pittsburgh. Like that's ultimately what we want. And so having those guys using that, being able to have a guy like that in here and have exhibition matches that could main event on a national stage and get shine for those guys going up against them. We thought it was an awesome opportunity for the guys that got to participate.
Right.
And if it wasn't, I don't know why they participated then.
And not just that, but also like having Nicky Rod here to do a seminar, having Dante did a seminar at Stout after his match. I think PJ had one at the Mat Factory. Like when they're here, to also be able to give back with a seminar or something where our local community can engage them in that kind of setting. Like I went to the Nicky Rod seminar. It was freaking awesome. Like it was really cool. And people, of course, got to roll with him and J-Rod and get pictures afterwards. So if we can provide that opportunity, of course, we want to provide that for the greater good of things. Like Ryan said, financially, maybe that one didn't make sense. And maybe even like Dante and PJ on a strict money level didn't make sense. But the overall effect they had, I do believe, is worth it for us and for where Sprawl is going. And I think in December, you guys will see where Sprawl is going. Like, we're going to try something else in December, hopefully. So,
Not pro wrestling.
Not pro wrestling. It will not be pro
amateur
wrestling. Yes.
You can make it to the pro stage and you sign a contract if you win.
One thing, yeah, dude. One thing I do want to stick up for Savage Gentleman on was the fact that out of everybody on that card, he by far promoted it the hardest out of anybody. Like he cared about packing the.
He sold the most.
He got it. He understood like this is a chance to shine, and nobody ever wants to hear that promoter talk, but like it matters. How many tickets you sell matters. Dana White will say it. Scott Coker will say it. It does not matter what level you're at. Selling always matters.
We could only keep having Sprawl events if the participants sell tickets.
Yeah.
We can only keep doing it if we don't lose money doing it. Like that's the only way.
Yeah,
and we
right.
spend a lot of money on these shows. So
Jess Elizabeth said, "Yeah, that sounds like me." It was you, Jess. Pretty.
what
that
was
said,
her? Oh.
Getting my ass beat by Isaac Greeley every Sunday. Chase Boyd, Craig Perry, rear naked choke was awesome. Craig Perry winning by submission at Brawl in the Burgh 18, unbelievable. What a development for him, for that young man to come in. Everybody knows, at least locally, everybody who's watched his fights knows grappling has been his Achilles heel, and now he's going to start turning it into a weapon that he can use in the cage against another really tough guy, Logan Mitchell, who was very impressed. That whole team impressed me a lot. Our first time working with more MMA, and I've really, really enjoyed it. Really liked what I saw from their guys. And Craig winning by submission, that's so cool. Ditto, Glenn. Let's throw Glenn in that mix too. Like very similar, where you can just see these guys who debuted with us, and now are 4+ fights in with us. Seeing that development from the first one till now, really, really cool, man. I love that. Jared Billy, yeah, Pittsburgh gyms definitely get a lot of love, as they should.
Lots of comments here, and as we were talking, you guys were commenting, and then there's some on here that I've lost context for because and one of them's Daniel Stupinski saying, "So y'all got bamboozled. I hope you didn't pay them."
Oh, that was Savage Gentleman and Garrison Creed when we were talking
gotcha.
about that. I wouldn't say bamboozled. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
bamboozled.
I mean,
There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes before we even get to fight night, where decisions are made, and we think it's always going to be for the benefit of the show and putting combat sports scene in Pittsburgh on the map and trying to shine the light on the competitors. So it's hard for a fan to see that from their side, what we're doing to try and enhance the entertainment value.
Yep.
And we already said that maybe we weren't made aware of everything from start to finish, how that was going to play out, but we were looking at the overall product and the end result that we were trying to get to. And we have people talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, we tried something that ultimately didn't work. You know, we can watch it all the way up to UFC had CM Punk fight twice. Like, people will try things once in a while to try to take things to the next level.
If we do it again, you
Then
can be really mad.
You can
at
be
us.
super mad if we do that again.
If we learned our lesson the first time, you could be a little bit mad at us.
Drew Flincham says, we do an amazing job regardless. My favorite pro-Amy fight promo out there. Thank you, Drew. We definitely appreciate that, man, and look forward to hopefully having you back in the near future. I know his team's unavailable for December, but hopefully the next one.
Ultimately, what it comes down to is people trust us.
Yeah.
To put on great shows and to do the right thing. And in this instance, we 100% dropped the ball, and we are sorry, and we will not do that again.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
and will we drop the ball again? Absolutely.
Maybe, yeah.
We are going to do things to try. Like, we're going to try new things. We're going to do, some of them are going to be bad. Some of them are going to be great. And like, we'll keep doing the great ones and not do the bad ones. And that's part of being a business, and, you know, being on the cutting edge is you're going to do things that you haven't tried before, and you're not certain that it'll be successful.
Yeah. One thing I guarantee is that we'll never make those decisions flippantly. We think about it. It's planned. Like, we go into it after having done a lot of research and thinking about it. At least sometimes there's things that we don't anticipate. I'll be dead serious. Like, I didn't think that other athletes on that card would feel offended by that match happening on that card. Now, looking back, super obvious, right? Now it's obvious to me. Like, oh yeah, I see.
But there were positive comments.
Oh yeah, for
about
sure,
that, so
for sure.
We have to acknowledge that it
And
wasn't
there was
a
a
total flop.
large following in the crowd that were there to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Ken I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name, brother. Ken asked if we have any more events coming up. Yes, December 15th and December 16th at the Monroeville Convention Center.
And we
the next
will
two.
be announcing a lot more details very soon. Brian Kavanaugh, is that Brian Kavanaugh says, I thoroughly enjoyed both shows. Not everything is perfect, but it likely never. Brian Kavanaugh, that's a guy that I think he used to. Oh no, it's Ryan Kavanaugh, that guy that isn't available for December
or ever.
Ever.
He used to comment. Yeah, I think he used to commentate.
He used to sit cage side, and then he became too big for us.
Yeah,
It
poor guy.
happens. It happens.
Brian Kavanaugh.
We wish him the best.
Chase Boyd. Hunter, did you like my surprise for you and Danny Palm at Wayne's? Dude, Chase is
was
a menace,
naked.
But
Naked.
I think Chase was like 5 pounds underweight and still got naked to weigh in, like just to do it. He's like, I just like being naked.
My guess is he's
The
probably
implant,
naked listening to this, watching this.
He's really proud of his. He paid good money for that implant.
I get it. Yeah. If it starts like that, you gotta get an implant. Indio Dojo commenting. Danilo, what's up, dude? He said, "Bad boys, nice." we got the bad boys stamp of approval from Danilo. Let's go.
So okay, let's tell the bad boy story.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I want to see how you're gonna frame it. Yeah.
So on Indio's posts or comments on some posts on Danilo Villaford, owner of Indio Dojo, he's a legend. But anyway, a lot of times he would put bad boys on the post, and we always saw that and thought, like, that's kind of weird. Like,
It's a weird
oh,
comment.
you
yeah.
bad boys.
Bad boy.
Like,
You bad boy.
so we were always like, we should tell him, like, right?
Maybe it's a
Like,
language mix-up.
I
yeah.
thought, like, we should help him out here. Like, we
Yeah,
should
yeah.
tell him, like, but it actually, like, so, like, at Indio, like, they'll put on the bad boys. Then that's
it.
their, like, theme song. Like, they'll get fired up. Like, that's their hype song,
That
right?
is awesome.
So, like, that's him being hype right there.
Yeah. I love that so much. Eric Schaller, what's up, dude? Thank you for the kind words. Says we do an excellent job. Not everything's going to be perfect, but you take your lumps and move on. Yes, sir. That's Glenn Christner's. Remind me your relation, Eric, if you're listening. If you're still listening, tell me your relation to Glenn Christner. I can't remember if you're his dad or uncle or what.
provider.
I don't know. He's
Yeah.
too busy drinking energy
Energy supply.
drinks.
Pre-workout. I love that you guys give people this platform in Pittsburgh. Much respect. Yes, sir. It is our absolute pleasure to do so, for real. This is great.
Listen, guys, we aren't trying to get. We're trying to let you know why what happened, and that the intention behind it. We're not looking for compliments. We're not. We genuinely try really, really hard to do a great job.
Yeah, that's it.
And we don't want to do things that upset people. We don't want to make a mockery of anything. That's never our intent. If that happens, which it did, it sucks, and we're sorry. And but by no means are we like, it's his pap.
There we go.
By no means are we looking to fish for compliments or anything like that. Like, we, as a matter of fact, we probably enjoy critical feedback more than we do, because we want to be better. We're not the pat yourself on the back kind of guys. We're like, and these guys are used to it, because we'll have a great show. 2 days later, I'm like, let's work on
what
all
happened?
crap.
Yeah. I just said this earlier today. It's funny, if somebody could be a fly on a wall on our debriefing meetings, they would definitely laugh. It sounds like every show we should just cancel everything. We should just stop. Like, no matter what, no matter how good it was.
What do you mean after every show?
During, before,
on the way to weigh-ins the night before.
Listen, guys, if these guys think it's like just flip the guys. We could do a lot of things better, and a lot of that's preventable. And so, like, let's work towards doing that. And
which, by the way, is the right way to be, in my opinion. I'm for sure not mad. I actually love that that's our culture, that we keep wanting to push forward and do better next time. And that's, ultimately how Sprawl 2 came to be the card that Sprawl 2 was. Top to bottom, that card was more stacked, I thought. Sure.
Hey, guys, do we want to talk about what we're brainstorming on?
Yes,
All right,
say
let's
we
talk about it.
Bring it up.
Okay, so
breaking news.
December 15th and 16th, there's a lot of brainstorming going on as to what we're going to do with these shows. I'm going to do this, but like, you need to make sure everyone is watching this right now, because this is some breaking news. So text your friends, text your relatives, and Hunter is going to talk about our next sponsor that he wants to brag about. And then when we get back, we're going to talk about December 15th and 16th. This is all still brainstorming, but we're going to let you guys in on it to do
Pretty
that.
wild.
So talk about the next
Go
sponsor.
Green Windows and Construction. What's up, Russ Green, Larissa Green? If you guys ever come to our events, you've probably seen Russ and Larissa and the whole Go Green crew just having the absolute time of their lives. Windows and Construction out of Lower Burgh. If you're in that area or just in the Pittsburgh area in general and you need windows, you have to call Russ Green and Go Green Windows and Construction. How good are they exactly? So good that Ryan uses them to install for 247 Roofing.
Oh, it's true.
If Ryan,
It's darn true.
Ryan will not associate with something that he does not actually believe is helping him and his business. When it comes to his business, where we just talked about it, when it came to like MMA and matching and everything. If it doesn't make sense, he's not going to do it. He's just flat out not going to do it. So the fact that he not only Go Green Windows and Construction sponsors us, but Ryan personally uses them for his other business, 247 Roofing, that's, in my opinion, the biggest stamp of approval we could possibly give. He quite literally puts his money where his mouth is with Go Green Windows and Construction. So Russ, the whole crew there, I mean, if you guys are at especially the Mat Factory, Russ is super close to a lot of those athletes. You guys know him well. But if you're not from the Mat Factory, highly recommend Russ Green and Go Green Windows and Construction. They're the best.
Absolutely love those two. Well, love Russ and his wife as well, which when I talk about them, I'm
so
talking
funny.
about them collectively. Larissa is a firecracker.
Oh my gosh, she had a blown out ACL and was still there, rocking it.
Firecracker.
Hustleton says Russ Green is the man. He is correct.
Yes.
He is the man. Nico, real quick, I'm going to try to summarize Nico's comment here. It's kind of long. Nico Rigoli, congrats on the win, dude. I know that like that match meant a lot to Nico. Nico had gone through a lot leading up to that match, and I laugh not because it's funny, but I laugh because of the roller coaster that we all know Nico went through. Like it was genuinely ridiculous. So Nico got in there, put on a show, beat Hunter Gerber. That was a great match for him. I know that meant a lot. He liked the Nicky Rod format. That's cool. Pro wrestling, obviously Nico's super involved in pro wrestling as well. He's given a lot of Nico's given a lot of feedback in the comments on Facebook. If you guys want to read through that, it's a good post. We unfortunately don't have time for me to read all that.
But
Sorry,
you know
Nico.
what we do have time for? We have time to talk now about Sprawl and
Are you going to say it?
Brawl. Those two shows. I'm saying Sprawl in the Burgh and Brawl in the Burgh. We have
I
time.
thought you were saying
Okay.
something else.
So just to preface all of this, there was no talk amongst the four of us here that we were going to give you a sneak peek into what we
this
were
was
working on. This is-
spontaneous. Why not?
Spontaneous by Ryan.
Hey, listen, we want to hear your guys' feedback. So it's really important that you don't stop giving feedback now. As a matter of fact, you should tell your text people, because what we're trying to do, what we're discussing as a team is, do we combine these two events? So we have back-to-back nights, Sprawl in the Burgh and Brawl in the Burgh, and we've done that twice. And we have this third one, and like during the Serb Pennsylvania Commission era, it wasn't. He wouldn't entertain that. He wouldn't
Couldn't
entertain
do it. Flat out.
combining the two and having a
Mixed card.
mixed card.
But now.
But they're going to be separate because like all of the grappling will be first, and then the MMA will be second. But we have that flexibility now, so we're thinking about having Sprawl and Brawl and Sprawl and Brawl 2 on back-to-back nights. And we're thinking about the Sprawl part being tournament style.
Wop, 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 wop. So we're currently discussing how that would look. And right now, again, let's be extremely clear on this. None of this is finalized at all.
Not even
We
close.
are still brainstorming this. So if you guys want to give some feedback, that's awesome. We would love to hear it. The idea being, shout out Danilo again. Danilo had this idea a long time ago. It's not exactly Danilo's idea, but it's close. Danilo wanted to do something called King of the Burgh for a
King of the
long time,
Burgh.
when it was all the coaches. So like Danilo, Isaac, Warren, Stout, Lou, Sonny Achilles. They all put in an amount of money, a large amount of money.
He wanted to do it 10,000 winner take
It's
all.
10,000. Yeah. 10,000 winner take all. All the
Per
coaches
team.
compete.
Per team.
I thought that's what it was,
Yeah,
right?
per
Each
team.
coach puts in 10 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
10,
yeah.
10 per
And
team.
then the winner takes 80 or whatever it ends up being.
Whatever, however many there are, they would take it all.
So that was Danilo's idea, King of the Burgh. And we love that idea, and we love kind of stripping it down a little differently. So right now, what we're thinking is an 8-man tournament and an 8-woman tournament, 2 different brackets on Friday, men and women, King of the Burgh, and just like, to totally hypothetical once again, it could be like Alex Udick, Jake Lowry, Cody Gamble, Chris Passerello, Jarek Fry, like that kind of 185 to 230 pound male black belt level grapplers, right? And then that's your 8-man bracket. You have
Any rank. We were going to go
correct
with
any rank, but
Any
like
rank,
you think
but
you can
like,
take anybody
It's
kind of
it's
guy,
open
right? Open,
as long as you're willing to do it.
yeah. And then on Friday there would be 2 matches, and then on Saturday would be the finals. So Saturday would crown the actual winners of the bracket. Friday would be like the first 2 rounds to get to the finals.
Okay, so Yao Martinez said, I've gone to a mixed event before, and one sport killed the other and took away from the BJJ athletes. Feedback so I think with the tournament style, that changes things.
Yeah, I think a tournament helps it, and I also think, correct me if I'm wrong, Joel, because I don't think I've ever actually been to one, that Morgantown card that had.
Did I
Thomas
totally
boxing.
butcher his name?
No, would you say Jow?
I don't know.
Joel.
Now that
Yao.
you said his name,
Yao.
I think I totally butchered
It's
it.
all
I
right.
apologize.
It's all right.
I suck.
You said Joao. You said Yao. I'm just saying J-Mart.
J Mart.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow,
Wow.
Martinez. We did have Wow
another.
Martinez.
Yeah, we have
at one
Wow
day.
also. So if you could maybe add a little to that comment to explain what you mean, where one took away from the other. Was it mixed as in BJJ, then MMA, then MMA, then BJJ, mix like that, or straight grappling, then MMA.
Yeah, if you could clarify that, because what we are initially complete brainstorming. What we're initially thinking is having it be one event and have the grappling bouts be first, and have it be like the first two or three bouts or rounds of the tournament on day one, and having MMA bouts after that, and then day 2 on Saturday have the finals and maybe the semifinals of the tournament and the MMA events after that. Again, brainstorming, execution, not sure about all those details, but this we'll love the feedback.
Yeah, so it would be that's where I was going to go with the mixed idea. It is a mixed card, but all the grappling would be first, and then it would end with MMA. He said he loves grappling, but it was hard to watch after 9 people getting knocked out in a row. So like that wouldn't happen in this context.
Yeah, it would be the opposite. Right. So, and like think about that. Think if you think this setup would change that, would that be better? Would it, we don't want to do something that's dumb or foolish or not going to be what the fighters want. So yeah.
Yeah, on the belt rank, it's just kind of like it doesn't make it. I don't care as much about belt rank at all. We all know. I mean, perfect example. Nicky Rod's a brown belt. It's like, no, he's not a brown belt. He's a world-class black belt level. Cody Gamble's a blue belt. He hangs easily with black belts. Like, well, not easy. I'm sure it's not easy, Cody. Don't hurt me.
Hurt him. He said it's easy.
But yeah, it's like I'm not as concerned about that. The weight is, of course, an issue. Like Sage Stupinski, well, perfect example. I'm sure Sage would love to be a part of it. Sage versus Jake Lowry, Cody Gamble, it might not make much sense for Sage. I don't know. Maybe it does make sense for Sage. I don't want to speak for him, but
and maybe we have a lower bracket.
Yeah,
it's at a different
another
event,
and that's where we're at right now. Yeah. So this first one would be kind of like the big boys in Pittsburgh. Winner takes all.
The big boys of the Burgh.
So it would not be an $80,000 grand prize, but like just to get you guys' juices going, the number that we're kicking around is like a $5,000 grand prize. Pretty good for winning a grappling tournament. Take home $5,000. Like not a bad day. Plus one of our belts. Like we actually have belts that we had ordered, designated grappling belts. So we've had them and like weren't sure really what to do with them yet. But I think this is a really good idea. And then the women's bracket, same deal. Like preliminary matchups on Friday, finals on Saturday. Now, one stipulation is that you have to train primarily in Pittsburgh. I don't know if we said that already or not, but like, for instance,
Greater Pittsburgh area.
Yeah, like Dante Leon's not going to be able to enter our tournament for that specific thing. Like, he can't come back and do. Sasha Reynolds, I'm sorry. I'm sure like you just heard me say that. We're like, oh, I could win that. Like, I'm sorry you won't be able to qualify. Like, this is a Pittsburgh specifically, as Danilo said, King of the Burgh idea. So I want to keep that hyper local and really, really show off the local gyms with that one. So that's what we got. I don't know how you guys feel about a bracket tournament. I want to do it. I freaking love the idea.
The thought we had, so I just went onto YouTube for just reading some things here. Hoot's your daddy. We got to talk about Hoot.
Yeah.
Daniel said, would tickets bought be for both days? It would be 2 separate events. So we are not going to charge these ridiculous ticket prices and have it all be encompassing, but we will give a discount if you buy. We'll have a package where you can buy for both. That's again, nothing in stone. That's the initial thoughts.
For sure. Stupinski said, yeah, if you want to see me get ragdolled, make me face Cody Gamble. That's a real pro wrestling match.
About agreements coming
out. Let's go. Yeah, Jim's actually sending them right now. Siebert says it's a fire idea, so I appreciate the feedback, Siebert. So yeah, I mean, the idea would be maybe as we go and build upon it, like this one will start and it's kind of the bigger guys, some of the names that I already mentioned, and then we'll do one at another date that's like the smaller guys. And
And
then,
maybe even like if these are successful, guys, we could have 3 different groupings.
For
we
sure.
could like this could turn into a doing one of these a year for every grouping.
yeah.
There's a lot of potential here.
Roby with an excellent point in the Facebook comments. He said, "So no super fights then?" And I'm glad you said that because we forgot to
contraire.
mention it. The super fights would go on Saturday. So we would have, obviously, if there's only finals on Saturday, that's only 2 grappling matchups on Saturday. So we would then add super fights with guys who primarily have shown that they're reliable on previous sprawls and can sell tickets and get people excited. That's kind of like we want like a really stacked, smaller sprawl super fight card on Saturday to join the finals of the brackets. And then MMA fights, obviously.
So let's talk about some of the ideas that we had for who gets selected.
Who gets
Who gets
Did you say
selected?
And
hoot?
how? That got so silly
That was pretty daunting for the incoming
Dude.
opponent, and
I mean, I honestly, when that was happening, I'm looking at his opponent. I'm like, he's literally like, what did
Crazy.
I get myself into? That was crazy.
Hoot brings a freaking crowd, dude.
Yeah, he
and they
does.
love him.
Dude, it was, I mean, that was fun. That was so much fun.
He's so fun. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hoots, and shout out
He's
Trap.
the real
Hey,
Hoot.
in the midst of all this, Trapper Harris dropped Hoot real early, dude. He
Right.
stung him.
Oh, like,
he stung
like,
him.
boom.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, first thing.
He definitely stung him. Trapper.
Did that happen twice in a row? Did Hoot get, I feel like Hoot got quickly stunned in another fight.
I think Walters got him for sure.
Like almost on the break.
yeah, like
like-
Hoot said against Walters at one point, he was like, "Where am I again?" Like he
Yeah.
literally got dinged. Yeah. Hey man, you step in that cage. Anything can happen.
anything can happen.
We know it. We know it. So Nico says there's a chance I could face John Moxley on December 16th instead of the 15th. Technically, yes. That's when it would happen.
There's a process that has to occur, and that includes like coach approvals and, people wanting to travel from Cincinnati that aren't going to get paid much. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Siebert said, "Big Hoot fan, can't lie," with a little owl emoji. That's nice.
Hoot. I
Hoot,
like it.
I mean, it's hard not to like Hoot and Trapper.
I mean, it's like the atmosphere created by Hoot,
awesome.
It's so awesome.
It's awesome, dude.
You know
Especially
what
at
it
the Meadows.
Well, you know what it reminds me of is Jake
Mhm.
when
Lowry.
Oh, yeah.
Lowry. Yeah. So his MMA.
Did we
bouts,
expect
man,
that? We did not expect that for Jake.
No, not
It-
to the level it was. That was completely unexpected.
And that was for somebody coming in. Was that Tony Charles? Yeah, it was Tony Charles coming in from California, where you're coming in basically by yourself. You have a coach, and that's it. And then you have the whole arena chanting your opponent's name.
Pretty crazy.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
some backstory to Charles Lowry. It's fun telling stories, especially. So there have been a number of fights that have happened in the 247 cage that there was a ridiculous amount of adversity to make that fight happen.
I just talked about this with my wife yesterday.
As a matter
Oh.
of fact,
We had one.
we had one. We had one this weekend.
Oh my god.
There, you want to tell the story?
Eventually, finish yours first.
Okay,
but
so Tony Charles and actually, the more I think about it, Jake Lowry, we're all super happy that fight happened, but Jake Lowry may not probably should. That fight should have never happened. So he's from California. We booked the fight. He's coming to Pittsburgh. His physical. He went to a doctor and got a physical.
Kaiser Permanente.
And they I don't know what that means. Is it?
that's
that
their
Tom
like
Kaiser?
UPMC,
Like
right?
UPMC.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Mark.
So
Tom Kaiser.
like they did not send they did to Tonka.
Tom
Tom
Kaiser,
Kaiser
Permanente.
Permanente.
Okay, so they did not send.
Yeah.
They did not. Stop. They did not send the results of the physical, and so we had no physical. So the fight was like up in jeopardy, and finally he's there, and the ringside doctor, like, he can't give the physical, but he told Charles told the doctor who his doctor was in California, and in front of the commissioner, Serb at the time, Serb says, like, the doctor's like, "Oh, I'm friends with him. I know that doctor." And literally
crazy.
called the doctor up, and like, because they knew each other, like, Serb was like,
trustworthy.
"Okay, fine."
That's so nuts.
But
So it never
we
happened.
we still have, to this day, we don't have a physical for
Yeah, I went back to Tony
Charles.
like 3-4 months later and said, "Did you ever get that physical? I'm just curious if you ever." And he said, "No, they never sent it to him."
So yeah, don't expect that to ever happen again. But somehow that fight happened. Jermaine Moy's fight. I'm sure many of you have heard that story, but if you haven't, like,
It was on the
we'll
Isaac
tell it again.
podcast for sure when
Yeah.
Isaac was in.
Check out
Yeah.
the Isaac podcast. That's a well-watched podcast. And then we'll tell you this quick story.
We'll have a podcast where we talk about fights that should have never happened and then fights that didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the backstory.
Goss's fight.
Goss, that's the one I was going to talk about just this weekend.
No, but Goss's
Oh.
fight against, who was that against?
Barbarina.
Yeah.
Barbarina.
Oh my
should have
God,
never
yes.
happened.
Yeah.
So
he
let's
had,
Wow.
he had COVID.
Yep.
reportedly, but yeah.
No, he had a positive COVID test, and the fight was off,
Yeah.
but we didn't tell
Anybody.
Goss
Yeah.
in case, like,
Because they were going to
we were
run
gonna
another one.
running
Was
another
it a false
test.
positive?
And we didn't want his mental state to fall, to fall off. So we kept him in the dark, but they literally came back with a negative test, and then they made
Now
him
it's
take
1 and
another
1.
one, and it was another negative
Yeah.
test.
Crazy.
And it still involved a phone call to Greg Serb
Yeah.
after that
Yep.
third test to have him.
Say, okay.
Yeah, but he then had like that was a call coming back from Serb after he talked to the head of the medical review board to
right.
get the final decision. Then Serb called back and said it's on.
Yep. The winner by unanimous decision, negative test. So that dude, Ethan, now that you mentioned, I totally forgot about that.
Richard Roby taking a shot, a big shot here. I'm just gonna say on Facebook.
Whoa! Only 2 Ethans that matter: Ethan Kenny and Ethan Haight. Oh my goodness, poor Ethan Goss.
Wow. I don't know if there's history there.
Shame.
But that was like,
I mean, I like Ethan Kenny and Ethan Hayes too, but there's
I like them all.
there's
but
room for
I-
3 Ethans.
I think they all matter.
Ethan Goss's fight this past weekend against Solo Hatley was, I still kind of can't believe we pulled that off, to be honest. So in the state of Pennsylvania, all pro fighters need to submit an eye exam along with their physical blood work, all that stuff. The eye exam has to be performed by an ophthalmologist, which is different than an optometrist. It's like a very specialized eye doctor. Do we understand why that is the case? Absolutely not.
We do, but we don't.
Right. We know that it's the rule. We know that going in. We stress to fighters every time. Every pro fighter who comes in, by the way, please make sure it's an ophthalmologist, not an optometrist, because it will get denied.
Says it at the top of the form.
It says it right on the form, and not only is it on the form, but like we also emphasize that in our own. So, Solo submits his eye exam on Monday, Tuesday of fight week, and it's an optometrist that did it. So we're like, that's it. Like, you can't. If anybody knows, getting seen by an ophthalmologist, you don't just walk in like it's a Med Express. Like, they are extremely booked. It'd be like you need a neurosurgeon on short notice. Like, you can't. It's a very specialized individual that's just tough. You don't just get in. So we got that news. We tried to convince, first off, the PA commission, like, hey, like, look at this guy's credentials. And it was a super legit optometrist. The eye exam was legit. Solo's eyes were fine. It just wasn't done by the kind of person that the state needed it to be done by. And that's fair. I mean, we knew that going in. So now our mission on like Tuesday.
So we lose Patton's opponent on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Start working on that Monday morning. That is our co-main event. It is in jeopardy. We find opponent, doesn't work out. Find opponent, doesn't work. Like, that happens over and over again. Officially lose that. That fight is off the card on Wednesday afternoon.
Yep.
Tuesday morning, we find out. Or was it morning? We found out about.
Maybe not even, because I'm feeling like the rush for the eye exam happened once Patton was done. I feel like it was more like Wednesday that
Yeah, I
we really.
think it was Wednesday. Yeah.
So Wednesday is like like we.
This is going to be a
Our
problem.
co-main
Yeah.
event is like in jeopardy. Our main event is now in jeopardy.
There's a blood work issue too that I didn't tell you two about. And maybe
Oh
some
my
of you
God.
two caught it. I don't know if Danny saw it. Yeah. But his Hep B was not the Hep.
But
Oh,
we,
yeah, I
we
did
got
see
that
that.
early in
I
the
did
week.
see
though.
that.
Yeah, but I was.
So that was So Jim was. You had already told me when we're heading into fight week. I usually call Jim early in the week and say like, how's everything? Like what are the concerns, right? And he said every bout seems good except for
And I
the
said,
main event.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, what? And he's like, the paperwork, like the physical, like I
Jim's
don't feel great.
He's done it enough at this point that he has a really good feel for when he needs to be concerned about paperwork. And then sure enough, this eye exam happens. So it's Wednesday. I'm going to say it's Wednesday, and I think that's accurate.
Nico, it is so stressful. I'm
Yeah.
just telling you right now, dude. If you love stress, get into the MMA business.
Dude.
It is like there's nothing like it.
Unbelievable.
Fight week is absolute. It used to be every fight week, I would tell people, like literally the people that are around me, I'm not doing this again. Like I'm
Yeah.
not doing it again. I mean, I don't say that anymore unless it's like once in every other fight week now.
Yeah, okay. I feel better about that.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
I've but every during that week, you think like this is insane.
Yeah, I heard from a competitor, I think it was the first time, he's like, that was the most stressed I've ever seen you. I was like, bro, that was the most stressed I've ever been in my life. Literally, like quite literally, I think that was the most stressed I've ever been in my life, just with everything. The lift of Sprawl, like adding the back-to-back, it adds it more than doubles the work.
Literally told. So we're early in. Oh no, it was on it was on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday. No,
No,
it was
I think it
Thursday.
was- yeah.
It was Thursday.
Yeah.
I said to these guys, just so you know, tomorrow's going to be the worst day of our lives. And they're like, both of you guys were like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And I was like, guys, we have like the amount of work we have tomorrow is crazy. Here's the other thing. Every show prior to this one, we have set up the cage and all that stuff the day before any action happened.
88 weigh-ins, roughly. At least 80
Yes.
to weigh
So
in.
nuts.
So
So nuts.
So Thursday was
But we did it.
complete cage setup.
Shout out.
Thursday was complete cage
High
setup.
five to Danny. Air five.
Complete
Event.
event.
Weigh-ins.
Weigh-ins for an entire Sprawl card and weigh-ins for an entire
It was nuts.
it was
Friday was hell.
yeah, it was. But both of you two, and I said this to you afterwards, like they were both like Jim was like, I was like, Jim, I need you to be at the thing early. He's like, oh, I got like things to do in the I'm like, dude, no. There's no things to do in the morning. Like we have to be there early because we've got so much work. And I think
I will
There's
say
so much.
the reason that I didn't react more was simply that like I'm not the most organized guy. This was the most organized I've ever been for events. And I was like, I can't stress anymore. Like literally if I stress about it, I'm just stressing to stress. Like I've done what I can do and I'm going to do what I can do. That is literally the best I can do. So instead of being like, wow, this is going to be miserable, I was like, stick to the plan. Like check mark, check mark, check mark. Let's do this. Because it is what it is. Like on Thursday, we can't change anything. So I felt like my ducks were in a row. And for the most part, like we said, we got through it. Of course, some things still fell through the cracks. And
I'm not
whatnot.
stressed about it now.
Right. Right. I still am
took
talking
a week.
about it.
It took a week.
All right. So back to
Well,
solo,
maybe
though,
I am
because
still a little.
Yeah, back to
this is definitely
Sprawl and Brawl.
dragging solo. This is definitely dragging
yes.
on with solo's eye exam. So literally Wednesday, we have to. Okay, here's the other element. Solo is flying in from Arkansas, and he's
too late.
He's getting.
There are so many elements to this story. It's crazy.
MMA weigh-ins are Friday at 3 p.m. Solo's plane lands at 2:10 p.m. So literally
scheduled to land.
Me and Jim are tracking down flights.
Yes, we are literally watching live radar to follow his flight.
So literally just to get Solo 2 weigh-ins on time was going to be dicey. Getting from Pitt International to the Hollywood Casino at the Meadows in 50 minutes. And
Who do we shout out for that?
Less than 50 minutes.
That's no problem. Let's
So-
add
Yeah.
let's add an eye
Let's
exam
add an
in
eye
between.
exam. So I was thankful. Biggest shout out, Derek Gianta. Not only wrapping hands, being cut man at our events, he hooked up the ophthalmologist appointment. I reached out to him and Michael McSorley because two very reputable and awesome boxing promoters that we have good relationships with. I thought maybe they would have a hookup for us on that level, and McSorley does, but his guy was out of town. So I was like, oh my God, like, of course. You do have a guy, but he's not here this particular time.
Yeah, of course. That would have made it too easy.
Yeah.
That reference came from Ed Kunkel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the other thing I think we need to do. If
Ed
you
Kunkel, the new commissioner.
Right.
if you are an ophthalmologist or know an ophthalmologist,
Yeah.
we want to become best friends with you.
Yes. We will need you again.
Yes. So we just need to, like, if you like MMA and you're an ophthalmologist, please be friends with us because we love you.
Yes. So Gianta's ophthalmologist. Meanwhile, I'm at home, my wife's there, and I'm literally, she can attest, I've called probably 20 ophthalmologists. And I'm being as charming as possible. Oh, it would really just help us out. Like, we have a really big show. I understand this is very late notice and you're very busy. If he could see him just for 10 or 15 minutes, he already has the exam done. His eyes are fine. We just need an ophthalmologist to sign off on it, that kind of thing. Not working with anybody. No, I'm sorry. We're booked until January. It's like ridiculous dates. I'm like, okay, this isn't happening. Derek Gianta, so clutch, came through. And even that office that I called initially was like, we know Derek. We definitely do know Derek and would love to help you, but there's just no way the doctor. And then by the end, I had finally gotten her to be like, let me talk to the doctor and see. I'm like, okay, a glimmer. She calls me back like 15 minutes later and is like, the doctor can see him at 2:30 on Friday. And I'm like,
Let's
We'll
take
take
it.
it.
Yeah, that's it. We're in.
knowing
We'll have
full
him
well,
early, yeah.
knowing
There's
full
no
well,
chance that
Yeah.
we will be there then.
0% chance he's going to be there with a flight landing at 2:10 by 10:30. But yeah, that sounds great. Please put him in. So we knew he was going to be late. And dude, Dylan Cole, our intern, our video guy, I talked to him that night, and this is Thursday night. Like, we didn't even know until the very night before that we were going to pull this off. And even then, we weren't sure we were going to pull this off. I told Dylan, like, dude, I got an important mission for you. And I cannot stress enough how not kidding I am right now. This is the most important mission you've had since you started working for us, and just broke everything down. I need you to get Solo at the airport. He lands at 2:10. Be there at 1:45 in case the plane lands early. Please be
And
there.
it did.
And
The
it did.
plane did land early.
That doesn't mean our time frame changed any.
Right.
Like 7 minutes early. So
Yeah.
we're talking 2:03.
This was literally like a Grand Theft Auto mission. Like, you could see the objectives as he like get Solo at the airport, get Solo to the eye doctor, convince the eye doctor to still see him, bring him to weigh-ins, make weight. Like, you could just see the objectives getting crossed off.
Still had to face final boss.
I know you let him know, like, hey, dude, like, because Dylan is a college student. He's graduating, and he would love to be in the MMA scene.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know there was some prodding with you, like, hey, Ryan will be really impressed
Oh,
if you make
dude.
this happen.
And rightly so. Like, this was a crazy ass. So Dylan, I told him, I'm like, dude, as soon as you get Solo, I want you to call the eye doctor, because the eye doctor is like an hour from the airport with no traffic. And this is 2:10 p.m. on a Friday. There's traffic. So I'm like, you're going to have to call the eye doctor and just say, hey, we got him. We're running a little behind. Please hold the spot. Like, I'm like, you're going to have to sweet talk him and let him know, like, you're going to be late, but I need you to still see us. He called, and after he was done with that call, he was like, that was one of the most stressful calls I've ever made in my life, but they said they'll see him at 3:15. And he's like, we can get there by 3:15. I'm like, let's go. So he gets in. Eye exam apparently goes perfectly fine because we didn't hear anything about that till it was over and it was good. But Solo didn't get to weigh-ins till what, 5:15 probably, and weigh-in started at 3. Like he's very late. So
Not the latest weigh-ins
not the
we've
latest,
had.
but pretty late. So shout out to the
We had a next
commission.
day weigh-in.
Yeah. Yeah. So he makes weight, thankfully, makes weight. Eye exam gets approved, and obviously we had our main event. But that was everything that went into that on the busiest week of our lives. Let's just add this on top of it.
Yeah.
We had the weight issue also. There were some difficulties on Hatley's part leading into that weekend.
I mean, should we just talk about that?
Sure.
Why that was a lightweight title fight?
Yeah.
People in the know figured that out right
Yes,
away.
yes.
Like, it's not a secret, really.
So that was supposed to be a featherweight defense of Ethan Goss's title. We got to about Monday of fight week, and we got a call from Hatley's coach, and he basically said, to paraphrase, he's sick over the weekend. He's feeling better now, but it has put a stunt in his weight cut, and there's literally no way he'll make 145. He's going to be somewhere between 150 and 155.
Yeah.
So that's not what we want to hear for a title fight.
Right after we lose our
Main
co-main
event.
also. So,
Yeah.
like, we needed to keep the steam on the card. And the only, like, silver lining
it was
there-
actually Ethan's
decision.
suggestion.
Yeah, exactly.
It started
I mean,
off as a joke. He initially said, "Well, I'll fight for the lightweight belt. I'll fight for the 155 belt."
And when he called us back, he said, "This is the deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do it, but it's got to be a lightweight title fight." Now,
that was the first time
here
really that
was-
I'd heard him that serious.
Here was my dilemma with that. So my dilemma was I didn't want to reward someone with a title fight
Yeah, for missing
that
weight.
didn't make weight. So
For sure.
my issue with that was giving Solo, and I have nothing against Solo, but like if you don't make weight, that ruins our title fight.
Yeah.
And so my issue with that was giving the title shot to Solo at
Mhm.
lightweight. And basically Ethan said, "Listen, like I feel better than I've ever felt. I'm on point. Like I'm like he's not walking away with the belt."
Yeah.
And
Super.
so I said, because I like in my heart of hearts, there's 0% chance that I'm rescheduling a bout for a different weight and making it so only one person could win the belt.
Right.
It
Makes no
had to
sense.
be a true title fight with that
Real consequences. Yeah.
if he weighs in and doesn't make weight and Ethan still decides to take the fight, then he doesn't have a chance to win the featherweight title. But I'm not going to switch it early in the week and make it so that Hatley cannot win the title.
Right. Yeah. So that was whenever you say I looked more stressed than ever at weigh-ins for Sprawl at noon on Friday. That's why. We didn't know if we had a main event or not. We were in the middle of double weigh-ins event. The cage setup did not go smooth Friday. We had a brand new catwalk, and that presented some problems for the setup crew. There was a lot, guys.
Yeah,
there was a lot.
There was definitely a lot.
Yeah.
That'll be honestly, that'll be as bad as it'll ever be.
Yeah, for sure.
But when Thursday rolled around, I was like, I don't think these
This is
guys know
crazy.
what
This is
tomorrow's going to
crazy.
be like.
This is crazy. Yeah, and then like we said, the unseen things. We get a new catwalk, and our our setup team has our cage numbered, so they know how to put it together. So it's like part 3 goes with part 3, 2 goes with 2, whatever. The cage guys painted over our
Well, they were
numbers.
supposed to.
Oh, they knew that?
No. They were supposed to repaint our stuff to make it look nice.
But they didn't put the numbers back on.
No, but no one told me like we need those numbers.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
like
you
I didn't know. I
Okay.
didn't instruct them to do anything. I just instructed them to paint it.
Yeah. Luke Martin says weigh-ins were pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, we should let Luke chime in on that.
Yeah, I mean,
Lucas.
Luke and obviously Tanner Cahill missed weight, and that bout got canceled by the state. Just to be extremely clear, both Tanner and Lucas and Stout, they still wanted to fight each other and were still willing to fight each other. That bout got shut down because of the state of Pennsylvania.
Well,
And
that
because Tanner-
bout
yeah.
bout got not because of the state of Pennsylvania. It's because a fighter didn't make weight.
Sure. Yes.
But there was too much of a gap between two fighters, their weigh-in weights, and so the state was like, "We're not allowing there to be that big of a gap."
Yeah, that was it.
And that's what it comes down to.
And that was that, as they say. So
And there were 2 Tanners scheduled for a brawl, and neither Tanner fought because Tanner Bond
wasn't even.
pulled
Oh my god.
during warm-ups. His arm came out of his shoulder came out of the socket for the second time in 2 scheduled bouts.
Yeah. So I go backstage a lot during the fights just to congratulate fighters, winners, console losers, just tell everybody we appreciate them, which we really do. And I go back at one point and Tanner Bound shoulder is just hanging out. He's like, I just dislocated my shoulder. I'm like, first off, are you serious right now, dude? Like, what were you doing? I guess he was wrestling like super hard in warm-ups for some reason, which live and learn. Debut amateur, you don't do that. Don't go full speed in warm-ups. How about-
Don't do that.
So we're going around, the commission's back there, the doctor's back there, and like they're giving him the chance to get it back in place. And I go back.
Wasn't it Danilo that put it in place?
So I go back, and obviously Isaac Greeley, Danilo are there. There's 2 great guys to take care of this. Danilo's got him on the ground, and it looks like kind of like he has him in an arm bar almost, like he's like kind of pulling on his shoulder and resetting it, and you just hear Tanner at one point be like, "Whoa, whoa!" and he stands up and starts like, "Oh, I feel great." He's like throwing punches. I'm good. And I don't know exactly what caused it, but the commission just didn't let it happen anyway. They're like, "No, we saw what happened. Like, we're not going to let this happen." Which fair. That's very fair. And Danilo's like, yeah, he needs to get that shoulder checked for sure. Like something's wrong there. That wasn't just pop in and out of place kind of thing. So Tanner, get your shoulder fixed. That was super unfortunate. Joe Al was going for 2 fights in a week, which I always think is really cool. So he was looking forward to that matchup. They won it in December. We'll see about that. I think, I'm not going to do your job, Jim, but I would imagine we'll get Joe Al somebody else in December.
Lucas Martin has a fight scheduled in Erie, I think.
Yeah.
Is that what I see that
Yeah.
right? So he finally will get his debut. I know he's had quite a few swing and misses at making his debut. So fingers crossed, everyone. Cross your fingers, knock on wood for Lucas to get his debut coming up in, I don't know, next couple weeks or something.
Yeah. How about Tanner in general as a name being so not cursed? I get Tanner Hall did compete. He lost to Dalton Rasta, but Tanner's had a rough weekend.
Tanner's had a rough brawl.
Yeah, a real rough brawl. Real rough
Brawl 18 was rough for
Wasn't
Tanner's.
good for Tanner's.
I mean, no competition.
No. Yeah, no competing. Yeah, good
Yeah.
point. So that was certainly not ideal, but we get through it. Like, dude, of all things, like that was one of the minor.
Yeah, so
like that was one of the minor.
Yeah,
things.
somebody's arm popping out of their shoulder was the minor.
It was like,
just
oh,
so you
wow.
know, this was a lot for one weekend, but this is the kind of stuff every show happens. Every
There's always
single
stuff
show.
like this. Luke Martin says, I'll grapple Tanner at Sprawl in December, though. Interesting. I don't hate that idea.
You'd
at
have
all.
to go Sprawl and Brawl,
Sprawl and Brawl at Sprawl and Brawl 2.
and Taylor immediately accepts.
Well, that would have to be Saturday night for the super fight. Well,
yeah.
we don't
could
know
have
that. Yeah,
we could always potentially have a super fight or
Sure.
two on the
first
just
one.
depends on how it,
Yeah. Depends on how it shakes out. Luke Martin said any weight. There we go. Open weight, Luke Martin versus Tanner Cahill in
that-
December. Let's go.
then they don't have to weigh in. I mean,
At all.
In
Don't even
all
weigh in.
honesty, I would like to see that as a brawl.
As a fist fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too.
I think that's where it really belongs after.
After all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a chance, like, we would warn the referee, like, every single break, like
Yes.
jump in there.
Yes. Yes. So on that note, let's talk about we discussed the Savage Gentleman match. Let's discuss the other point of major contention from Sprawl with Gavin and Lucas, which we talked about on their teams, and the post-match everything. I think we do need to button that up. We learned, first off, that we need better security at Sprawl shows, for sure. We never in a million years thought that a grappling show
would have
get
that much
testy.
emotion.
Yeah, would get that testy, would go that crazy, and it just snowballed. It's happens in crowd. I mean, it's literally crowd riot mentality.
I think what I've learned is when there's like when you're bringing out of town guys in, like there's no history, there's no like, but when there's emotions and history and all that, like I think we have to button up, especially like knowing, like when two gyms that have a history, like we need to be on point with that.
Yeah. And two alpha competitors like that know that they're some of the best in the area, and they've been talking leading up, and there's backstory, there's history, there's this and that. In retrospect, for sure, I could see that one coming. Now it makes a lot of sense. But we did hear some things that were alarming, and that was that some people felt legitimately unsafe. Not like, we're razzing each other and it sucks kind of thing, but like legitimately unsafe in the crowd. So we don't want that. We have to put our foot down on that, and we're already discussing how to make sure that never happens again.
Yeah,
starts with us.
Nobody in the crowd will, you cannot threaten the life of people.
Right.
You cannot do like period, end of story. I don't care what the emotions are. Like that crosses the line, and going forward, we will have enough people there that you will be gone.
Right. Exactly. Nico wants Luke Martin versus Tanner Cahill combat jiu-jitsu. Meet in the middle. That's sanctioned, so that would involve the state commission again.
It's not sanctioned in PA yet. Combat
it's just literally not legal at all.
I don't know that it
yet.
will be.
That's so. Why is MMA?
Well,
why are they cool with MMA?
It could change. Well, there's the new sheriff in town.
Yeah, it's still less dangerous than MMA.
Jiu-jitsu.
That's weird. Anyway,
Yeah.
I like that idea, Nico. To be honest.
Well, I think.
Yeah, Teasdale and Siebert almost turned into combat jiu-jitsu at the end.
Yeah, I mean, there was like, see, that's what I don't, and for all the grappling people that have been in this for a long time, like when those two were literally smacking each other in the head.
Yeah.
Like, is that normal? Is that okay? In jiu-jitsu, like it wasn't like wrestling where you're pushing off.
Right.
It was an actual
Like slaps.
slaps. And it wasn't like they were decent.
Jab slaps.
They were
for
decent.
Sure.
So my question, and you can answer in the comments, is should that be called? Should that be a warning? And I don't know. I know the wrestling scene, and like there's a lot of head pushing like that, but it's not like an actual impact.
Smack.
Yes. Okay, so
Jess Elizabeth said, combat jiu-jitsu is legal. It's called having a really hard collar tie. Yeah. Fair. Roby said in IBJJF you would be DQ'd for slapping like that.
okay, so you're saying that like whoever did that first would be disqualified in IBJJF?
Yeah. I believe that's what he's saying, yes.
So how do you judge what's
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
enough to DQ?
Right.
And that's the whole like figuring that out.
Yeah.
Well, there's no points, so they can't do a point loss. But maybe that's I don't know. Maybe we have to.
Damian Anderson from B Team knocked somebody out with that. Whoa. Yeah, I got to see that. That's wild.
Yeah.
Probably too hard if you're knocking somebody out with it.
So when I was watching it live cage side, I was like, okay,
That's
the ref's not
happening.
doing
Yeah.
anything. What is that like? Yeah, we got to figure this out. And guys, I appreciate your let us know. Keep thinking about ideas. Keep thinking about what we can do to make the most out of grappling. What we can do to make the most out of all of this stuff. We want this to flourish and succeed and be top level and be attractive to everyone who would want to be involved.
For sure.
And keep putting those matchups together for me. I appreciate that.
for
It's going to
sure.
make my job a little easier.
So the Damian Anderson match was combat jiu-jitsu, where he knocked somebody out. So that makes a lot more sense. A lot more sense. I got you now. I got you. That's fun.
So the one thing I want to, since we're talking about this, it's an easy segue into the next topic that I want to talk about, and that is like controversies with the reffing and the decisions called for Sprawl. When we go to Brawl, like we have control over that, not necessarily the decision.
We have control over
who
the
makes the
criteria,
decision.
the who we choose to referee, like, and that's the other thing. Like, if you know someone, what we really want to do with our refs is we want to make sure that they're not biased, like
Right.
that they're independent of anyone competing, and that's hard. And so if
Super
you
hard
have
here.
people that you know of that like are black belts that are not, like, that would be a good rep, like, let us know. We're
For sure.
we're all ears. We want to make this as fair and as impartial and as widely accepted as possible.
Yes.
And not everyone's going to like every decision. We don't want half the people to think that we're committing a crime by having a decision a certain way.
Yeah, so we had Justin Michael and Renee Sousa at the first one, and they were both 10th Planet guys. Just to exemplify this point, they were both from 10th Planet. And PJ Barch, 10th Planet as well, versus Dante Leone in the main event. So we had Mike Wilkins stand in as a third judge if it goes to a decision, because it's obviously we don't want two 10th Planet guys determining if a 10th Planet guy won or not. Like, we saw that coming at Sprawl 2. So we learned, at the first one, we're like, this could be an issue, but we handled it well at the first one. So we invited Justin Michael back because we thought he did a good job at the first one. And being 10th Planet affiliated, there's no major 10th Planet right in Pittsburgh. So he can unbiasedly ref most of the matchups for us. And then we had AJ from Armazzani, because there weren't a lot of Armazzani guys on the card either. And AJ has experience reffing super fights. So we thought we had a good team. And it's not that they didn't do a good job. I think they did a phenomenal job. But we learned a valuable lesson in how the bias could extend and maybe look a little deeper.
Or look like bias.
Deep, yeah, exactly. Like they had competed against people on the card before, and that was the issue. So
Seth Donovan commented, judges are biased. Great promotion and venue, though. So, Seth, what I would suggest that you do, because this is your state. Like, you live in the state of Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania Athletic Commission assigns the judges for MMA. If you think that the judges' scorecard was bad, like, they're Pennsylvania judges. Like, your state assigns them. So if I were you, I would write to the commission. You can get their email on the commission's website. Just Google it, and let them know that you felt that it was unfair. We can provide them with footage, all of those things. But it's your state. Like, if you want to fight in your home state, like, you're always going to have to deal with that. So
yeah,
like, it's just not, like, I don't think there was a bias. I think if you felt it was scored incorrectly, like, that's what needs to be addressed.
It's tough, man. It's a really tough job. I think until you've tried to judge a fight yourself, you don't realize how hard those close decisions are. Of course, there's fights where it's very obvious who's winning. Yeah, no doubt. But in, like, Ethan Kenny versus Seth Donovan, perfect example. Super close fight. I was sitting, we're on the podcast. This is full disclosure time, Ryan. I was sitting with Greg Rudolph that fight, and at the end of the fight, I said, I think Seth probably 2-1 got that one, in my opinion. But it's close. And I even said that to Graham, like, but it's close. Like, I'm not going to be surprised which way this one goes. And sure enough, like, Kenny got it 2-1. And I was like, well, there you go. Like, that's tough, man. Like, this is a very, very tough job.
Yeah.
And you're eventually going to maybe pick the wrong guy.
Seth,
And
I said the same thing. Like, I watched it back and I said, yeah, I think if I was judging this, I would have it 2-1.
Yep.
That
Russ Green says, you know what they say, don't leave it to the judges. Finish or KO, and then, yeah. I mean, that is the ideal situation. However, I do understand from the athlete's perspective, like, you're trying to get the finish the whole time.
Yeah,
and you want a fair decision.
a fair decision, and I don't necessarily think, I don't want to think it's bias. I want to believe that it's just they saw it differently.
Yeah.
I don't see a consistent behavior or pattern that tells me bias.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, no one wants to feel like you want to fight and you lose.
I can genuinely say, like that being a perfect example, that there's been times where I was surprised with the decision, but I've never seen a decision in MMA for us that I've been like, what? Like, that's a robbery. A robbery. Like, robbery is a different level
Yeah,
of
I
bad.
think we use robbery.
It's way overused.
Like,
yeah.
close fights, there's no robbery. It's
Yeah.
just not true. If it's very close, it's just a difference in opinion or criteria, whatever.
Yeah.
No, I've never seen a robbery in a 247 cage.
Yeah.
I've seen decisions I didn't agree with, and I would have went the other way. But robbery is so like
It is.
overused.
It's super overused. Seth Donovan says, let me win this title in Erie on November 22nd. I'll come back and fight for y'all again. That sounds great, dude. I loved working with you and think you're a phenomenal fighter. And I just said it. I thought you won too, but I'm not a judge. It
And
was
we
close.
also
Super close.
we both
Yeah.
agreed, and we thought it was so close that we didn't necessarily agree with thinking it's a robbery.
Right. Exactly. Sir, yeah, it was 1,000,000% not a robbery. But close fight. Two really good fighters that I think both of you guys are going to have very bright futures if you stay the path. Like, the talent level of both of you, having that as a novice amateur bout, pretty special. Like, those are two guys that can easily make noise as pros.
Yeah,
So,
hold your head high, man.
Yeah.
Like, the hunger that you get from a loss, you cannot replicate with a win.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
it really, like, you can use it to motivate you and have you take that loss that you don't agree with as an amateur that when it's all said and done doesn't really matter, and use that to like motivate you and reinvigorate you. Sometimes you get complacent, you win 3 in a row, you think it, like, use this to like really catapult your drive and motivation, and you may think you don't need that, but
you do.
you also like may have had you got that win. I don't know, like, use it as a positive instead of a negative.
And I'll tell you what, man, like, you don't need to hear it from us. Hear it from guys. Literally, it's kind of crazy. 2 guys that just competed at Sprawl 2. Dalton Rasta, Steve Mowry. They're both top 5 Bellator fighters in their respective divisions. They both just lost their first fights as pros. And what both of them told us individually, it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to me. It's eating at Dalton. Like, you can just tell. Dalton's like, he literally told us straight up, he's like, I'm a different guy at practice now. Like, I'm not feeling that again. And Steve, same thing. He's like, I do not want to feel that again. Like, in a way, I'm glad that I just got that out of the way, because that's definitely going to unlock the new level for me. So, yeah, Seth, that would 1,000% be my advice on that. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from top-level professional fighters that are also feeling that. So, yeah, man, just stay the course, because you're super talented, and there's no doubt about that.
Jess said that she clubbed someone so hard last week in practice that they fell over. What were you doing, Jess? Jess, were you hitting? Jess, were you need
Is
to
that
play
a
nicely?
band practice or jiu-jitsu?
Who was that someone?
Nice, yeah.
This is the same. See, their context. I'm just reading these comments now. This is the same organization that automatically penalizes you for not being Brazilian.
IBJJF.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm gathering from this is that scoring in jiu-jitsu is very hard, no matter who's doing it.
Let's we're going to get all kind of feedback, and some of it is going to contradict other. We still want it, but like, there's a lot of, I wish there was an Olympic sport, because then we could just say, we're going to use Olympic rules.
Yeah.
There's
Might
no
get there.
right or wrong answers. I mean, that's why I said it. Like, hopefully it does at some point.
That'd be awesome.
But until it does, we're going to tweak things. We're going to try to make it as acceptable, widely acceptable for everyone, but we're going to have to tweak as we go. The first Sprawl, we had someone get knocked out from a slam, and since then we've made those slams not a part of what's allowable.
Yep.
So we're gonna make tweaks. We want it to be awesome for you guys. Period.
Yep.
End of story.
So Devin Heinel just tuned in. He competed on that card. Shout out, Devin. Thanks for getting in there, dude. I'm glad you had a good time. He said awesome event. He wanted to know our thoughts on Siebert versus Teasdale. So definitely rewind. We did talk about it already, but I'm assuming you mean our thoughts on that decision. And I'll again, full disclosure podcast.
We will tell you exactly.
We'll tell you. I thought Gavin won. I was very surprised whenever they raised Lucas's hand. That said, once again, Seth Donovan and Ethan Kenny, it wasn't that much of a blowout that I was like, that was a super robbery. Like, that was a crazy robbery. It wasn't. Like, it was a relatively inactive match in general. So
watching it live without like intentionally trying to score it, right?
Right.
I thought this is either one. It could go either way.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I thought watching live. When I went back and watched it, I thought slight win by Gavin.
Yeah.
Like, if I had the opportunity to sit down and watch it as and watch it as a judge, I would have given the nod to Gavin.
However, Siebert's cartwheel off the duck under was one of the sickest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
It was so good. Yeah, I mean, run that one back 100 times and they probably each win 50 times. I don't know, dude. Like, they're both savages. How I feel about it in general, I'm honored that matchup happened in our cage. That's how I feel about it. Did I think Gavin won? Like Ryan said, if I was scoring, yes, I would have picked Gavin. But AJ, I need to get AJ's opinion on that. I should have asked him like what specifically he was looking at that made him choose Siebert, because he's not unintelligent. He's not making rash decisions. Like, I'm sure he has reasons and I should hear them. So AJ, I'll reach out to you. And we'll figure that out.
Also, with what you just said, there
was a long conversation between the two during that match. So that was a long conversation.
So it was not clear. Like, I need to get another opinion on this, because that's how close it was.
I think they always, unless it's like a finish or extremely clear, they talk.
Right. Well, that's where I was going. That you can't, sit there and say total robbery, this person should have won or that person should have won. That the ref in the cage said, you know what, I'm going to go and talk with somebody. This is close. Let's come up with something.
So
what we think is appropriate.
That was the type of bout as unsatisfying as it would be for us to say it's inconclusive, it's a draw. Like, if there's no reasonable solution for an overtime or anything like that, like, I would be okay with that being a draw.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
totally.
Only because I don't think there was someone who deserved to lose
or win.
And I think more importantly is deserved to lose.
Yeah.
So I think that's the hard part.
I will say, if I had to make the case for Siebert, it would center around the fact that he was by far the aggressor and pushing forward more. And that mattered in our criteria. As we described Sprawl rules, like, we look for aggression and the pursuit of the finish and things like that. So Gavin definitely had the takedown. Siebert definitely had the majority of the aggression on the feet, which is where most of it took place.
And I know there was the takedown. And how long? I think he popped right back up.
Not long.
Yeah. So in my opinion, like, a takedown without any control is less than a takedown with control.
Yeah.
Like, just in general, I think, in wrestling you get 2 points regardless, but you lose a point for the escape. Like, not lose a point, but your opponent gets a point for the escape. So to me, that was like a 1 instead of a 2. I don't know. It is what it is. It's a difficult. We're gonna work through that.
Yeah. So people in the comments are even saying it now. I'm seeing that Lucas was more aggressive with subs and pushed the pace more, which is what matters in submission. So yeah, it's literally a matter of, are we scoring the takedown as points, or are we scoring it as an overall submission grappling match? This is exactly what we need to hammer out and make extremely clear moving forward.
I think we can make it as extremely clear as possible, but I think that that's the whole. If anyone was like, we're not the first people that care that are doing grappling, and there's not any universal like this is what everyone thinks.
Yeah, right. So we'll figure it out, and heck, maybe by the end of taking all this feedback, we'll have a rule set that other people will adopt and be like, wow, they figured something out there that really works for it. That would be a great solution, because clearly we have a lot of people commenting, but we don't have any clear-cut answers still. We have a lot of ideas.
Yep.
But yeah, so clearly it just doesn't exist, and that's up to us to figure out. Devin now saying, was that the most heated match in Sprawl history? Absolutely. I can't even think. What's
Sprawl, of course.
Sprawl, yeah. Sprawl. Yeah, I mean the whole after match, which again we talked about. Yeah, that was
other than when Isaac and Gray
they
physical afterwards.
Isaac, so what a disrespectful guy.
Well, the other one was that Tanner and who was messing around after the pro after that?
Oh, Jarek and Steve Mowry.
Yeah, Jarek and
dude,
Mowry.
that was super fun.
Yeah.
That was super fun. Shout out those guys for taking the tone of the room and understanding, like, okay, guys, let's cool this down.
Yep,
It's fun. We're having fun. That was a very pro move. I very much appreciated that. And that was a sick match.
Yeah.
Dude, Jarek, Danny Palm was there. Jarek weighed in with about 30 pounds of a backpack on just to make it
close.
Somewhat close, and it still wasn't close. Yeah, the size disadvantage there for him was pretty hilarious.
Did he get finished after the decision with Stinger?
He did. Yeah, that's
okay.
actually, if you go on
The
Tapology.
stunner, you mean?
The stunner. That's the stunner.
Stinger.
Yeah,
Stinger. And I was just like, yeah, because I don't know pro wrestling.
Stunner,
yeah, sure,
yeah.
Stinger. It was a stinger. If you go on Tapology, that's actually
Tapology.
it's actually the result.
Stunner.
Steve Mowry wins by
Steve-
stunner.
The
I like
Steve Mowry Stunners.
And Savage won by sleeper hold.
Yeah. Yes. 100%.
Rear naked sleeper hold.
Sasha Reynolds says we could do a 3-judge panel. Yes. I love that as a potential solution. And I even like the idea. This is pretty silly, but I think it's fun, right? Hear me out. We print out little face cutouts of everybody, and the judge holds up the face of the person that they think they won. And then you can pan the camera to the judges, hold it up. Whose face is it? 2 out of 3.
Bro,
wins.
let's make more work because
Yeah.
this wasn't enough.
Hey, once we get the cutouts, like, we're good to go.
Oh, yeah. Just like everything else, Hunter.
Yo, shout out, by the way, since she commented, Sasha Reynolds, because what little savage she is.
Such a savage.
Twice now we've gotten to work with her and her family and her team, and they are awesome. And she did work at Sprawl 1. She did work at Sprawl 2. She gave up 15 pounds in that match, I want to say, 15 or 20 pounds, and never blinked an eye and just said, I want it anyway. And Jess Elizabeth, after that match, was like, I was very surprised how strong she was. Like, I thought I would have a clear strength advantage, but I think she's still 16 or 17.
She's
and just,
wiry.
just wrecking house. And she is definitely part of that next wave that she sticks to it, man. So you're going to definitely know about Sasha Reynolds.
I caught her on the way out. They didn't stick around at all. I was like, oh, you aren't going to stick around at all. And she's like, oh, we had enough of that last weekend. Or I guess they were at the same place as
The other people.
The other people.
Yeah. Oh, why is my brain seriously, my brain doesn't function. Oh, by the way, people, listen. I'm 46 years old. As I've gotten older and older and older, not as old as him, but older. For some reason, I have a habitual, really bad problem with remembering to zip up my zipper. I walk
Did
around.
you do it again?
That's not where I thought
Oh,
it
come
was
on,
going.
come on.
I walk
seriously.
around with my zipper down more often than I walk around with it up. I catch myself if my shirt's not long, like it's zipped up right now. If you ever see me walking around with my zipper down, just know I'm an old man.
Do we have an HR department, Jimothy?
We need one. Yeah.
What is that a human resources issue?
Yeah, dude. Yes.
I go to the bathroom, I button back up,
just forget
and I
the
just
zip.
the zipper, like, it's not even there. I don't know why.
That's crazy.
I never did that when I was younger. It's Danny's fault.
You need old man pants.
Clearly Danny's.
So
I need
that's either
Velcro zipper.
There you go.
I'm gonna make I'm gonna make an old man Velcro zipper.
So you don't even have to do anything. You just bring the top
That's
together and Velcro.
and it sticks. Every time you sit, you'll hear like hear it separated.
Other place
with those other people, 80cc trials. Yeah. Yeah, so shout out. I was talking to Sasha's dad, Boomer, and he was saying about that as well when they were there with Dante and Max Hansen and that whole crew. And they were
80cc trials.
Yeah,
I didn't
no big
remember,
deal.
I didn't remember where she said.
That's so funny.
She just said
That place.
no. She said where
Trials.
we had enough last weekend, and so I didn't know where last weekend was.
I got you. Yeah. They were talking good about us, so we definitely appreciate that and appreciate the endorsement. I know that goes a long way in the community. I'm positive that when we started cage grappling with Sprawl 1, some grapplers were asking some fighters, how is 247 as an organization? Should I compete for them? We know PJ Barch was asking people, for instance. So the fact that our reputation is such that when people ask, we get a good referral means a lot. So we want to keep that up, and we want to keep, as Ryan said earlier, raising that bar for people to where when people ask, they're like, bro, you have to, like, seriously, they're the best. That's what we want to be. We want to be the best. So thank you, Sasha, and everybody else who puts in a good word for us, despite some roadblocks for sure on this last one, which we've discussed in full. I feel like we didn't talk about Brawl in the Burgh 18.
Might be a vitamin deficiency for brain cognition. My zipper thing, and then he said leads to forgetfulness, like zipping your pants.
Vitamin Z. Yeah.
Vitamin zipper. All right,
he would know too. He's a dietitian, so
nice. So I'm. What you're saying is, I need more.
You're dumb.
you need vitamins.
You're dumb.
You're dumb. You're dumb.
Is it just like, I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird that I catch and I know it, and I'm like, okay, I won't do this anymore. And then next thing I know, my zipper's down.
Yeah.
Danny's over there rolling his eyes. Like, Danny, you don't even wear clothes with zippers, so just stop. You can't leave a zipper down.
Hashtag jogger.
joggers.
Life. I love it.
I'd rather have no zipper than my zipper down.
Boom.
Yeah.
So I want to shift gears before we wrap this thing up. We've been going almost 2 hours already. Brawl in the Burgh 18, we didn't talk about a whole lot, but for everything we've said about Friday, Saturday was smooth sailing. Dude.
Saturday was sick. Other than like losing
Tanner
a fight
backstage,
day
yeah,
of,
yeah.
and the
was
fight day
weird.
before,
Yeah.
like the fights were great. Jim did another great job of matching. You know, I think that, you know, there are fights that end up happening that are short or like debuts that, you know, we don't know what to expect. But like, you look at our cards and Jim, like, bro,
Yeah.
you get so lucky.
I
Wait.
agree.
No, but I've seen other cards in other places where there is obviously people that have no business against people that have. I mean, we've had one of those recently, but that's like a regular thing. Whereas, and I look at the coolest part I think of everything is when we have a local debut versus a local debut. The level that those guys are at
Unreal.
is so high for an amateur debut.
Dude.
It makes me proud of the work that Isaac and Kama and I'm including all of the staffs and Mike and Will and all of these teams are doing the work that they're doing. And now we have like even more gyms getting involved, like more MMA and just seeing the level that we're starting out at.
Unreal.
It's so sick.
Max Jarrell and Jason Rogers kicked off Brawl in the Burgh 18, and perfect example. Local versus more MMA versus Stout. That was one of the highest level debut amateur fights to kick off. I think, actually, since I've been involved, I'm pretty sure it is the highest level. Like, they both looked phenomenal. They looked amazing. Max We heard a lot about Max coming in. I expected him to look great. More MMA we never worked with before, so I wasn't sure how it was going to be. Dude, Jason was more than game. Looked very good, very comfortable. We said it after the bout. Very unfortunate that More MMA went 0 for 4 on the night, because in a different world where they're fighting blue corners that we usually bring in, they go 4-0. Like, their fighters look great. Their fighters looked so great, and I would be devastated if they were discouraged by that night because of the 0 for 4, because it wasn't that. They fought savages. They fought stout. You know what I mean? Like, they went up against stout. They went up against these real heavy hitters in the game and weren't losing terribly. They were more than holding their own and putting up competitive fights. Like, they're super close to being right there also.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed.
Yeah, I just think overall we have it really good. And I'm not even like Gorilla House, and there's everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
really,
Indio, like Danilo and Indio moving, so they weren't really available. They're moving location, so that's why like only Hoot was available for either card.
who?
Hoot your daddy. So, like, India, the level of Indio we know about too. Like, throw them in the mix,
It
and
is
they were
so
It's
ridiculous.
nuts. It's crazy. Lucas Jones says
In
that
the shop.
Oh yeah, dude. Like, the talent around here. We said it whenever we started the podcast, and we were having these kind of conversations. We talked about how Western PA, Pittsburgh area is like the next hub of combat sports. Like, why not? The talent's here. If you guys go watch BitB18 and Sprawl in the Burgh 2, you're starting to see it more clear than ever. Like, the level of talent from debut amateurs all the way up to our pros, insanity. Lucas Jones, part of that group, by the way, that is definitely the next breed, says that Chase Boyd stinks. Is that accurate?
Chase, is he going to respond?
Chase is many things, and I never remember him being stinky, though. I don't know that I would tag him. But he also spelled Boyd without the E, which is apparently the way it's done now.
Apparently you can leave names off of or
You can
ease
misspell
off
names?
of names.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Been
So,
on live TV before.
Okay. So big shout out, Jared Billy has
Dude.
my back. Says there's nothing wrong with the occasional fly issue. Just wanted to
Nice.
point that out and say thank you, Jared. I
Nice.
appreciate your kindness. Not everyone's as kind as you are.
that's nice. That is nice of you, Jared, to make him feel better.
How old's Jared?
Not sure. Can't even guess, to be honest. I want to shout out Sage real quick, because I think he completed the trio of commenting on Facebook, YouTube, and 247 Live. So,
Oh, nice.
good
Way
job.
to
Good
do
job,
it.
Sage.
That's how it's done.
black belt level
Yeah.
commenting there. for
Dude,
sure.
you're a
Social media warrior.
combat comment black belt.
Yeah, for real. Video editing black belt too, dude. That Power Rangers video he made for Stoutly. It was so good. It was so funny. I
Who?
loved it. Sage.
Who?
Just what? So, BitB18, we had the fights we already talked about. We started the podcast by me asking what you thought the best match at Sprawl 2 was. What do you think the best fight at BitB18 was, Jimothy?
So for me, it was action packed. It was like it was Rock'em Sock'em, and it involved
a few
more
that-
MMA,
yeah.
and that was Mike Rattani
Yeah.
and Dimitri Terzic.
Yeah. Good pick.
It was just constant action.
And a perfect example of more MMA losing a fight, but should feel 0% bad about it. Incredible fight. Literally, you could go either way. He got caught, got on the ground. Mike took his back, choked him. Like, dude, it's going to happen once in a while in MMA. But Dimitri looked fantastic. Got that dog in him. Got that. You can't teach that. I love it, dude. I loved that fight. I thought Mike was fantastic. And that was our first time working with that gym, too, PA Combat Sports out there.
Will he come back with his zipper down?
Taking bets now, ladies and gentlemen. Comment now.
He went to the bathroom.
Will he?
Yeah.
It should be fresh enough on his mind, but he's 46. So it
We
might
will
not be.
update you on that.
So we'll see. Mike Rattani working with PA Combat Sports for the first time as well. Super impressed with them, with him. His post-fight interview was fantastic. He was a bundle. We had, shout out Josh at Big Rigs. If you guys have never had Big Rigs barbecue in Monroeville, you have to do that ASAP. Josh came out to the fights, the owner of Big Rigs, and that was his first time at one of our shows or at a MMA show at all. And right after the Rattani fight, he was like, that's my favorite fight of the night so far. He's like, I love that guy. So he put on a show, everything about that fight, from the fight itself to the post-fight theatrics, post-fight speech. Nailed it, guys. You two, Dimitri and Mike, nailed it all the way through. Could not have asked for a better fight than that. Ryan, is your fly down?
It was just moments ago, but I think
He's checking.
it's up.
Nice.
See, I assumed it was up, just like I would assume every other time.
Right.
But a lot of times it's not.
Mike Rattani in the comments. We didn't even know he was here, and he said, thank you guys for that. So there you go. See, we weren't just talking good about you because we thought you were here. That was genuine.
Genuine, yeah.
You earned that, brother. That was a ridiculous fight. I loved it so much.
So let me ask you guys this. Have you guys watched Brawl back again, the
Little
whole
bit.
thing?
Not straight
Not the
through.
whole thing.
Not
I've
straight
watched.
through.
Okay, so you
Fights.
most of the time, either the night of or the following night, I watched the whole thing, and I haven't watched this yet because, like, you guys are talking about fights, and like, I spent most of that evening writing, like,
Checks.
I was writing checks and,
Yeah.
and figuring stuff out. So like, there are like, I wasn't able to all I want to do on fight night is watch
'em.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was not able to do that.
You
That's
should
how
do
I
it,
felt at
like-
Sprawl.
Like
I
me and-
asked so many
Me and
people,
Hunter just
"What
sit down and we just watch the fights. We don't do anything else.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like most of the time we don't like.
Yeah. I can definitely say that for myself too. Like, I miss a lot the night of. I'm not watching the fights really. Once in a while, I love to. Yeah, I actually
I didn't see much of Sprawl. Like,
Yeah, it's same Sprawl. I was going
I'm
backstage.
I'm going up and back and forth, but
Yeah.
I'm missing stuff.
Yeah, I was going backstage at Sprawl, and I remember Nico and Hunter Gerber like, "How'd it go, guys?" Like, I don't know who to congratulate. I didn't
Dude,
see it.
I was
sorry.
literally watching the door until that bout.
Yeah, that's
and I
crazy.
came in right at the end
Yeah.
and saw him get his hand raised and was like, awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I was checking people in.
But that is the good thing about 247 Live, available now on Roku, Apple TV, and iOS. You can go rewatch the fights.
And coming very soon to Amazon or something.
Amazon Fire TV and Android. Correct.
Wouldn't it be nice if we were on Amazon Prime? Yeah, we're
That
not.
would be pretty cool.
We're not at all.
Goals.
Okay, here's the other thing is
Fight of the night, real quick before we get off that, for me at Brawl was
I wasn't going to say anything right now.
no, dude, you can't. Well, I didn't want to lose that train of thought because we
Okay.
were about to.
They had a train of thought.
And you said that you didn't really watch the fights yet, so I assume you don't have a pick for fight of the night.
I mean, I can't educatedly. I can say fights that I did see that I thought were awesome, but
Yeah, go ahead. Say
no,
one of those.
I want to listen to you guys.
I'm going with Kevin Hendricks and Dan Walters. For me, insane barn burner. We know Dan Walters always brings the heat. That's never up for debate. And we knew Kevin Hendricks coming in with 3 knockouts under 20 seconds that he was going to be slinging just bombs from the beginning. And he for sure clipped Dan a few times in that super dangerous fighter. Dan weathered the storm, wore him down, got the choke in the second round. That was ridiculously good performance by Dan. And also Dan calling for a title shot in the post-fight speech. I'm not saying he's going to get it, but I am saying, fighters, when you get the mic, make the most of your opportunities. Say what you want. It makes our lives easier. David Krause calling out James Padmore makes our lives a lot easier. We like when you
When
guys
we know what
say,
you want,
we will work
we'll
to
try
get that.
If it makes sense for everyone, like, we'll try to make that happen.
Yeah, for sure. So
Just
that,
because you say someone's name doesn't mean you're like, oh, kill that guy. It means like, I think that'd be a good fight.
and it would be.
And
Yeah.
and if you do say you're gonna kill someone, that's might be even better.
Then you have to do it. So yeah, that for me, that was probably the fight of the night.
I mean, I don't know about fight of the night, but I'm gonna like just huge shout out to Hoot Lee.
Yeah.
Like the environment in that place. When you hustle and you sell a bunch of tickets and you create a environment for your bout the way he did. I looked at Trapper Harris and thought, man, he like that sucks for him because this crowd is on fire for Hoot, and that's got to give you energy and that's got to give you motivation. The atmosphere that he created, that was the 7th fight of the night. And until that moment, there was nothing like that atmosphere in there. And it set the tone for the rest of the show.
Yep.
Huge shout out. Great job. Keep up the good work.
Also makes our job a little easier because there's a reason that fight was after intermission. We knew we needed one, get the crowd back going.
Exactly.
This is the one.
That's why he was placed there.
Yep. So, yeah, shout out. That whole BitB18 card was nuts. I love, we've talked a lot about it already. Other standout performance. What did you want to say before I pivoted back to fight of the night? Do you remember, Ryan?
No.
Sweet.
That's why I have to say things.
Worked out perfectly.
Because I'm dumb.
Mateo Garner. We got to talk about Mateo a little bit. I feel like got promoted to the co-main event on fight night, or fight week, rather. And I think very well deserved. This was, for me, it was the only silver lining when we lost Pat in the week of, and then it looked like we were going to lose Ethan as well. The only thing keeping me from totally losing my mind was Mateo's going to have a really good crowd there too. If that's our main event, it's still a really good pro main event. So I'm so thankful we had the depth on that card to weather 2 blows like that. Because Mateo had a giant crowd there. I'm sure you guys heard, noticed. He brought him out. So shout out Mateo for selling tickets, caring, putting on a show like we just talked about Hoot. And then Frankie Festa for being super game because...
Oh my gosh, if there's ever been a time I've seen that 90% of human beings would just say okay, I'm out of here.
Frankie's tough, dude.
He would not
not give up.
He would not. He had...
Yeah,
he could have turned over, taken
sure.
the
for sure,
tapped
so
boom,
many times,
so many times, and he
kept
was
reversing.
Was tough. He would sweep. He would get on top. And Mateo's credit, Mateo didn't let. I know there was a point, at least it appeared to me, that Mateo got swept and was exhausted. He looked real deflated, but he didn't let that deter him. He got the sweep and got back on top. Big shout out to that. I mean, I love effort.
Yes,
I love seeing Frankie Festa not get subbed and stick through it
for sure.
And all that shows what your character is.
The most, Ryan touched on it, the most important part of that to me is not just he wasn't just hanging in there. He was actively trying to win the entire time too. He wasn't you're just not going to finish me. He was no, I'm trying to finish you the whole time.
There's some backstory there to that fight also.
Yeah, was there
actually
some kind
having it go off and happen?
Well, and we can get to that another time because we've been at it for 2 hours. But was there beef with those two or something? Someone asked me during the show, do those two have beef? And I
think there was something.
Interesting.
Was there something on social or something?
Oh, the stare down. The weigh-in stare down was really, really intense.
Now,
really intense.
Okay.
It was the first time that I was I might something might happen.
Yeah, I always worry about you because I think you're too nonchalant, and those guys are ready to tear each other's head off.
Yeah.
And, most people are.
I can read people pretty well. When
But
there's
if
a
you're
chance,
you
should start fighting.
In the cage, and just before the fight started, Frankie walked over towards Mateo's corner, and went to give him a fist bump, okay, let's go. Mateo held back, and Frankie looked at him okay, man, this is just for sportsmanship. You want to be like that. Gave him that look, and
on fight night itself, I don't have a problem with that. When it's time to fist fight, I'm cool with that. Be cool before and after the fight for sure, but when you're in that cage and it's go time, you don't have to touch gloves.
I don't even know if I care about before. I think after, I think best is to be classy.
Yeah.
The
for sure.
Beef is over, at least for now. Let's, if we want to re-beef it, let's re-beef it.
Re-beef?
Well,
sounds
I
awesome.
mean, it's true.
Does Strip District Meats sell that?
They do a re-beef, yeah. Just scanning through this, things we haven't talked about that I would like to. Glenn Christner and Caprice Hall went to a draw last time. It was actually if there wasn't a point deduction, it was Caprice's fight. Glenn Christner came back and was phenomenal, and it wasn't like Glenn Christner. A lot of times is rock'em sock'em, like he's gonna swing and like you're gonna swing, and that's gonna be what happens. But he took his back, took control, got the rear neck. Like it was very impressive.
Super impressive. That choke had to be super tight because that was a fast tap. Glenn's a very strong guy. I'm sure having him around your neck. While we're talking about Anviares guys getting rear naked chokes, the highlight of the night, by far to me, Noah Gaudiello gets Ron Peters back, sinks in the choke, and starts smiling at his friends cage side while he's choking Ron. Dude, that was savage. The pictures that we got from that from Bermudo and Paul Luke, who by the way,
I haven't even looked at the pictures.
Dude,
to Ron's
it's
credit,
real
though,
good.
he did say he might have the comment of the event, and he said, "Has anyone ever looked so good getting choked out?"
Yeah, I appreciate having a little fun with it. That was one of those quick, Noah got his back choked. It just happened. But you guys got to find the pictures of that.
The funny thing is, everyone thinks like this stuff is fun and easy, and like there are a lot of fun moments, and we try to have fun with it. But Jim and I had the opportunity to have someone get a peek into like what really happens behind the scenes. And I remember, so on Sunday, we were tearing down and moving cages into storage units and doing all that stuff. And it's brutal work. And we had a young Indio fighter with us to help unload. And I said to him, and he was working hard, and it was hard. And I was like, it ain't all that fun, is it? Like, this is hard. It's hard work. And everyone thinks it's glitz and glamour, but most of what you see us guys do, and Danny, most of it is not fun. Yeah. It's not easy. This is like, it's tough.
Yeah, and that's why I know like people like drama. People want us to beef with made men or stout fights or bizarre, and like I'm not going to do it. I respect those guys. Like when you have shows, I'm going to try my best to be there. Like stout fights November 11th, I'm going to be there. I support you guys because being on this end, I'm not talking smack on anybody else trying to do this because I feel crazy sometimes for trying to do like why? Like you said, every show, Ryan, I always think, why would I ever do this again? Now, I don't necessarily feel that, like, I don't take it that far, but there is a point every show where I'm like, what in the hell am I doing with my life? Like, why did I choose this?
Yeah.
So
I've said this a few times.
It shows you.
A couple times in jest, joking around, other times sort of serious, but I'd love if we could somehow do, like, bring somebody in for an hour or two, and they could be promoter for a day, matchmaker for a day, and let them see what it really takes to just do a small portion of the show.
Just putting together. If we could have someone with us to just put together one female bout, and the amount of hours and especially in Pennsylvania, having a female bout in Pennsylvania might be the single hardest thing to do on the face of the planet. It is so hard.
crazy.
And it's frustrating because a lot of times we will see like one of the fighters here that want to get a fight here in Pittsburgh, they'll take a fight elsewhere, and we know like that fight wouldn't be approved here. Like there's so many more like fights that can get approved elsewhere that Pennsylvania won't approve. So it's very difficult. That's one of the most difficult things. And guess what? I was taking a look. I was looking at what Jim's doing. We could have like 3 on this Sprawl and Brawl weekend.
3 female MMA fights.
I think we had 3 once, but we haven't had one in a while.
Who was our last female?
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne and Carly Joe, I think, was on that same card.
Yeah,
What that was last
BitB12.
July.
That was BitB12.
that was a long time
Since
ago.
then. Dang.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, actually. That feels like a lifetime ago. It was like a year ago. It feels so long ago. Yeah. But, guys, we promised that we would address controversy on this episode, and I think we thoroughly did that. We promised we would talk about good stuff this episode. I think we did that. I think it's about time to wrap this baby up.
Wrap it up.
Thank you, guys. This was probably, I mean, without looking at the numbers, this was definitely one of our best attended podcasts ever, live and
yeah.
comments and everything. So we appreciate you guys tuning in and caring. That
Keep-
means a lot.
Keep giving us your feedback. If you compete on Sprawl, or want to compete in Sprawl, or even train jiu-jitsu, and you have ideas, or you think you can, you want to give some input, like we're all ears. We want that input. We want you to help us to make the most well-rounded, most well-respected rule set and events we could possibly have.
For sure. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, December 15th and 16th, we gave you a glimpse of what we're working on there. Stay tuned for more on that. Jimothy is very hard at work. Ryan's very hard at work. I and Danny Palm, very hard at work.
And one
We're gonna
other
get
thing,
this done.
if you need chiropractic care, where should you go?
The rehab. Why are you even at? There's one place to go.
One
Rehab
place,
center
the rehab center.
with multiple locations. It's technically more than one place.
Any one of those places
Yeah.
of that one place.
Isaac and his crew, man, they're not only amazing. Isaac's not only amazing for MMA and for the combat sports wrestling community and everything, but his chiropractic care is also top notch. Everything Isaac does in his life, he does it at an incredibly high level. So it should surprise nobody that the rehab center is amazing, and they are, and they've supported us from day one, continue to support us in Sprawl and Brawl both. They're the best, man.
I think
Truly.
he has a black belt in chiropractory.
I think so.
Pretty sure.
I think so. I saw it on his mantle.
I think it's chiropractic.
Chiropractic. I pronounce it wrong.
Yeah.
And also, if someone needs a roof, where are they going?
I don't know any other roofing companies. I was trying to think of one. Sorry. 247 Roofing, obviously the right way the first time.
All right, thanks. I interrupted you from signing off, so go ahead
cool.
and sign off.
Peace.
Peace.
Out.